A good afternoon and welcome to the season 4 AWOL weekly week number 3. I am joined here today by the lovely Cole. My name's Bandit. How are we feeling today, Cole?
Well, I can give the quick answer and say great, or I can give the legitimate answer and say a tiny bit crud, a little bit tired, but a whole bit excited to see what's going to happen today.
Yeah, because for those not in the know, I'm sure there's not very many of you, but our wonderful little Cole Hick just came back from his world tour, I believe, all the way from Paris. Back now recently. He was there covering the World Championship live. And now that we are in our post World Championship era, I'm sure you have all the meta insights for us that we need to really truly understand what is going on in this week.
I think you might have me one upped on the meta insights with your preparation and study. I can definitely tell you what all of the casters' favorite drinks and snacks were during Worlds, and that Rinku won, and some very key moments. But just
I
being
mean,
honest, I hope I'm in for some surprises today.
yeah, I mean, ugh, what has nerding out in a bedroom has ever done for someone? You know what they say, right? Your network is your net worth, right? Maybe it goes for you. Maybe when you're schmoozing up with those other casters around there, you can find your way into the second world championship. Yeah. That's what we have to do since we're not good enough to actually make it on our own, right, Cole?
Yes, exactly. Something those who can't cast or something like that.
Yeah, if you're not good enough to play, then you become a coach, and if you can't do that either, then you'll be support staff, and if you can't do that either, but you think very highly of yourself, you'll become a caster.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it does to me. Now we're a few minutes out of the tournament, so as that will be going live, let's just have a quick little recap of how we got here because we finished World Championship 2 weeks ago. Rinku took that, man, absolute banger. I don't want to analyze the finals too much. We can do that on a separate moment. But I think the highlight of it was really the prolonged success of the big three, and in my book, that would be Sigismar, Kojo, and Traced in that order. And also the introduction of a triple deck format. Do you think we'll notice any changes in how people will approach these weekly tournaments?
I think there are a few players that hopefully found a new love for a different faction, a different deck. There are a few who notably did not enjoy the conquest format very much, and maybe they'll continue to play the same deck over and over. But I'm really hoping we see a lot of inspiration for the lesser shown decks of the worlds other than the big three as you mentioned. Have to give a shout out to Tasia. I'm pretty sure. Don't fact check me, but the most banned deck in the whole tournament. So that is why we
Ooh,
didn't see it
I'll
played very
definitely
much.
not be fact checking you on that. That is right. I will be checking, however, table 52 as we are kicking off the tournament. I think we have a pretty interesting match here coming up with Nadir making its entrance, facing off against Basira. Something a hero that I think has gotten a lot of results when I am not watching.
Isn't that how it always is? And that is another thing to be said about the decks and the heroes that were at the World Championship. There were a lot of new heroes sprinkled throughout the last chance qualifiers, but they didn't make it out and into the qualified. That's why you didn't see them in the top 32 or so on. But Nadir was one that I had heard leading up to the event might actually be highly competitive. I think the issue was people just did not have enough time to really figure it out. So
And that was
Maybe
a big topic for the World Championship, wasn't it? Because when we were starting off, it was an absolute free for all out gloves of brawl where people were experimenting heavily, and you could notice some hesitation in certain players and just sticking to the most consistent, already quite thoroughly explored heroes, knowing what their peaks are, and just going for consistency, consistency, consistency.
yeah, that is I guess super important when, you're in a highly competitive environment is consistency. And looking at this match specifically here, there's not anything too surprising on the side of Basira. Parliament of Ashes already out. Chiron coming out. Pretty typical cards, but the Aloe in a Nadir is very interesting. As we've mentioned, this is kind of a newer deck, new hero. So a lot of this will be new to those of us who haven't been playing it.
Yeah, and just to give the absolute, if you've been out for a little bit and you're very confused of these new heroes, Nadir does have three of these lovely terrain counters that he can place at noon on a location. I think it's called. Let me check that for you. Region, my bad. Region, half of a card. He will change that and he can play around with that throughout the game. Some other cards will move around those counters. Some other cards will reward a strategy where you have three single terrain markers visible, all that schnaz. But especially in Lyra, where you have so many ways to get that proper, delicious, juicy card advantage for yourself, the Aloha pick will always be king.
Yeah, one of the unfortunate things we saw happen here is that Aloe actually resupplied a Loki, and this
Yeah.
Loki does not have a from anywhere, only has a from hand. So not really what you want to see. I think one of the most interesting things to pay attention outside of what cards Nadir is picking to put in the deck is how they're placing their little terrain markers. I've seen a couple different strategies. I'm not sure if it's been settled into what the best one is.
Yeah, I think the most important one, and I think the most consistent one from what I've seen so far, is a tendency at the very first day you'll put down a single terrain marker on one of the starting locations, either to leverage an advantage for yourself or just to get the one out of the way that you'll be expecting to play the least, just so that after day one and there's two tumult cards revealed, you will have three single terrain markers visible, which will enable a whole different part of your deck that pays off the more triple single terrain markers, which we usually only get after you get all three tumult cards revealed.
Yeah, that's a very astute observation, very smart strategy
Please, no,
here.
by all means, continue.
Yeah, very, very well said. And the sea nymph play is very good here on the hero side because the water marker was already used, so it wouldn't really work on the companion side. But nice, perfect flip for Nadir on the hero side allows them to do that. But looking just at things on the board, if you cover the reserve a little bit with your hand, things are pretty evenly matched here. Both sides have a parliament. Both sides are tied in the expedition. So we'll see what happens going forward.
Yeah, and I think the most interesting part is Nadir not choosing to play one of his markers, right? Um, there we can speculate for quite a while on as to why. But with the mountain nymph, I believe, yeah, the mountain nymph in reserve and no mountains visible, you could have assumed that you'd want to secure yourself at least a proper play for that. Is not choosing to do so. Instead, will stall a little bit. And now that he has committed a little bit more into these utility aspects of the game, right? Sabotaging a bit, prioritizing that over maybe getting power onto the board might be the exact point where he gets punished on now and might lose out on this day 2 to nothing.
Yep, and that is exactly what's going to happen. Oof, not only is Basira going to get a double move here, but is also going to get to throw down another Parliament of Ashes. Nadir, honestly, I'm not sure if he would care too much about the tough that these parliaments are providing. Seems like maybe a lot of sabotage and other things that get around tough would be used, but expeditions and advancing in them wins the game if anyone did not know already.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have to keep it simple. Sometimes you just have to remind yourself that you can be fancy all you want, you can have all the cards in the world, but at the end of the day, it really matters who gets together first, unless you're a weirdo and you play festival decks. In that case, you should feel bad.
Yep, I'm glad that we're here in agreement because why would I want to go to a night ending party when I really just want to go on an adventure instead?
Yeah, I mean, Equinox has really designed Altered in a way in mind where, a companion and a hero have to meet. And I think anything that gets you a win through any other means is just not natural. And we should lobby in the government to get that banned.
I agree. This winter outfit sitting here though is interesting.
It is
I would
ominous, isn't
guess
it?
what?
It's ominous to have a
Oh,
winter outfits like
yes.
when you're playing
Yes.
against the deer, but I think you're just not that concerned as a Basira player when
Mhm.
you're up 2 expeditions, and you've already gotten quite some value out of your osmas, right? So you are not really out of gas whatsoever. Actually, you're quite cozy with those 2 courts as well. So you're in an absolute banger position. You don't have to contest in both expeditions because you can just be chilling right where you are.
Yep. I would assume the winter outfits are really just to make up for all of these hero stats on Nadir cards. Maybe there's some secret thing, but yeah, here's another play of a sea nymph, and it's going to equalize while also sabotaging. So, like I said, those parliaments not doing too much for Basira, but getting
Ooh,
tough.
oh,
Double
that is
double
that is
0-4 mountain.
yeah, that is not what you often see, but it is gonna cost him quite in the card department here. And even though he's not advancing himself in his water expedition, right? He will be a little tongue tied, a little twisted in trying to contest a purely mountain expedition whilst being in solo water himself without those ever useful winter clothes.
Very interested to see if they place. Well, looks like they are interesting. Okay, this is the thing that makes Nadir really intriguing in general. In the reserve. Okay, there we go. They answered my question before I could finish. Even Serengar is a heavily weighted forest. And I mean, honestly, Basira doesn't care though. Both of those skaters are equally statted and provide a boost, which is also equally statted.
Yeah, that is kind of the tricky part when playing into Basira. Basira doesn't really mind having single expeditions because, like, all right, most of my creatures are either all around quite well statted, quite well rounded, so to speak. And when they're not, I'm just going to give them boosts until they're stronger than yours. So there's a certain simplicity in that which you just have to appreciate.
Yeah, zeros in Lyra and Muna are definitely very hard to overcome at times. And with 2 mana and losing by 1 stat on both sides, I'm not sure what Nadir has here. So yeah, just gonna send it to a 1-for-1, hopefully.
Yeah, let me fiddle a bit with the layout as it's not doing what I'm currently think. With a press of the button, should be happy campers. Ooh, cooperate. It's not cooperating.
Yeah, OBS today is a little shy, shrinking down a little bit. Oh no, this is the perfect play for Basira, and really one you always have to worry about when you're playing against Bravos is the the fire rabbit is always a possibility and makes it a 1 for 0 in Basira's favor.
All right, let me see if I can twist some more knobs on the. In the meantime, this Basira is getting a larger advantage once again. Let's see if we can. Please, it's not really not. It's really. It really doesn't want to. Hmm. What to do here? Let me see. Cole, say things.
Yes, instead of watching and thinking about what could fix the issue, I will commentate this game for you. So, honestly, I just really don't see a way out of this for Nadir. I think they lost the game pretty early on. Throwing out the Forest Nymph and a winner outfit is going to tie. But as we've seen here, the Sierra just has much access to at least one boost for 1 mana. Last turn you saw the Fire Rabbit. This turn it is a Helping Hand, and the Nadir is fighting a battle on 2 fronts, and it's only staying equal on one so far. And the Duel of Grit probably just seals the deal for Basira here. Don't think for 3 mana Nadir can do much.
No, and that's where you really sense and where you really feel that difference in resources available. The Basira is just finishing perfectly, even being able to pressure both expeditions, and that will be the end of that one, as the first round is snatched up by Basira.
Yeah, there was a very small little path that Nadir could have had something for. That mountain guide was in reserve. It does have a quick action of the next card you play costs one less. That would have required them to have a card with only 1 mana cost. And from what we have seen, the only 1 mana cost they had in the deck is the winter outfits, which wouldn't have been able to block because they already had one out.
A tricky situation to be in, and as we move to table one, where we have Izuri facing off against Sigismar in heaps of trouble at this very moment, as he's on the verge of losing it all. But maybe these last few uniques can turn the the everlasting tide of blue that Sigismar knows to put on the map.
Let's see. Hmm. Man,
And
don't Sigismar players ever get bored of playing all the same cards all the time?
do you get bored of winning?
Mm, yeah. Because I never do it. So
Yeah, same. Now, don't worry, guys. I am still working on getting these ratios fixed with all our might. If I might seem a little distracted, that's why. Because we be struggling. That's okay. We're gonna find our way out of this one.
play a permanent. Trying to take stock here of these uniques and everything that Isuri has. Looks like a lot of resupply based around permanents, which is pretty good for this generation of Axiom. Um, but
What is this generation of Axiom called? We have Gen X, we have Gen L, we have Boomer. What is this generation called in Axiom?
I would say Gen A for Aerolith. So
Ooh, I like this. So
yeah,
is it Gen A as in or Gen E as in ether? Because there's like AE, right?
Gen AE, capital A, lowercase e. Problem here is though this deck for the Axiom side is built around what we usually call the cycle type. You have the Lyra Bastion here that when you would resupply, you reveal the top two cards instead and you pick one. And the problem with this deck here is that's not equating to any stats. Usually you see this creating brass bugs or putting some other kind of stats on the board, and resupplying over and over won't do you much good if you don't have any stats in the expedition.
Yeah, and it's just all the card advantages in the world's not gonna get you out of a hole that is this this deep. Sigismar reigning supreme, even though he is getting low on cards.
Yeah, so this reef is going to get rid of one thing, but I think that's the end of the cycle here. I don't think there's anything else. Oh, maybe there's a frog there. What do they have? What do they have in hand? But also, how are they gonna get three forests, or I mean, at minimum two forest and four mountain, and they do not get it. Very cool from after you won to try to be cooking some new stuff, but yeah, you gotta have stats to win, unless, of course, you're going to the festival, as we mentioned earlier.
Let me see. Are we? Let me get quick transition. Let me see if we can fix our troubles.
We
Hmm.
have, let's see, 126 players arrived. See some players still a little groggy from the weekend. Might have missed hopping on here, but not too many. Another great thing is there are a lot of names that were at the World Championship that are back here again on Monday battling it out. Um, I don't really. We're just playing for glory and the prizing that AWOL offers, as we have not specifically had concrete details put out for the next competitive season yet. I
Well, I
believe that.
believe we are fighting for qualification as well, right?
Oh
Everyone five
yeah,
one.
there you go.
But I mean, better to get them to get them early in the season. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that
Mhm.
I thought like, oh no, I'll qualify in the last few weeks, and then I'm horribly behind on the meta, or I didn't keep up, and I am on that Sunday. I'm just looking as everyone else having fun, like Octo watching SpongeBob and Patrick have the time of their lives.
Yeah, that is a good point. You can qualify for the AWOL Invitational, which has really good pricing, and if you do it early, then you can kind of just play for fun or test new things throughout the rest of the season. Which jokes on me for saying that, because how many players actually do that? If you if you do, let us know in the comments, because from what I know, everyone's trying their hardest all the time, from what it seems.
Yeah, and I mean, for competitive integrity, that is what we do like. We like it. We like a setup where people are giving it their all in that way.
See,
Okay.
refresh here, see how the round is coming on. Another great thing to mention right now, if you have not already, is we are getting super close to unlocking the new Buddha token. the alt art on the altered game found for the amount of followers. I think the last update I saw is only 345 people need to go like the game found campaign, and then we get a new Buddha.
And I've seen it's heckin' adorable. It's the best boy Buddha.
Yes, it is seemingly a very sleepy Buddha, but very nice.
Mhm.
I think the art is by Ba Vo, which I realize I've never said his name out loud, so hopefully that wasn't too far off. But very great artist within Altered. I think been making art for Altered since set one and every set. Very classically did the Hydra for Muna and Lyra. So
Which Hydra?
very good
The
artist.
new one or the
Yeah, Hydra Kana.
yeah, it has 3 versions, right? Or 2
It
versions?
yeah, so there is the alt art from the Masubi, and I should, you know, be the one to know if he also did the alt art. I assume yes. Ooh, I assumed wrong. Uh, it was actually for the alt art, which is this is very interesting. It was Jeffrey Jonathan for the alt art. But the OG Hydrocana was by Vo, and the new Buddha token. Who was the original Buddha by? The original Buddha was by Sok Young, and then one of the other altards. That's really cool. I never kind of going off on different art tangents here, but I never realized they did do alt arts with different artists. Um that would make sense, but I've never really taken a dive into it.
Yeah, I think we are slowly zooming in on our display issue here.
What table are you testing the view on?
Let me see. I think it was like way down the list. It was like 72. Let me see. Might be 30. Let me see. Wait, does I think OBS might not like it when I switch that. Yeah, it definitely doesn't like that. Oh well. Now it's small again. We have 2 options, guys. It's either too big or too small. I'll put a poll in chat for
That is the fun part of streaming, especially when already live and having to edit any, display issues, sound issues, things like that on the fly. There are some things you can't even edit in OBS while still live, and then just also trying to multitask and do everything is a ton of fun. It's lots of fun to manage stream software. And no matter how much you know or how much you prepare, there's always the chance that something will go wrong.
Yeah, we're there. That's the best you're gonna get from me. Can we work with that? Or is that all out of proportion? Let me see if I
Let's
can.
see.
Let's see.
Oh,
Oh,
looking good from my end. If we don't have the timers, that is totally fine on my end. As long as we can see the gameplay, we can talk about it, and I will tell the people if someone's going into the negative. There's a was there a resupply loop in AWOL? Not a successful one.
yeah.
At
So
least not from what I've seen.
so the thing is, it is pure gambling. That is, you just kind of spin the wheel, and you hope you're gonna keep bouncing into more and more resupplies. That is kind of the thing, but you know, since although it is a numbers game, eventually you'll be all out of luck. But usually by then, for each resupply, you get a robot, and that kind of you don't need to be infinite. You just need 20 robots on all sides, and that usually gets the job done.
Yeah, yeah, it was Juan. I think from what we saw when we were viewing the game is yeah, it's nice to resupply, and as Bandit said, it's a nice little gamble pulling the roulette wheel or the slots or whatever you want to call it. But if it's not creating stats, like where is your win con if you're just resupplying repeatedly? I think if you were to compare that what we just saw to the Arok resupply, the Arok one would be better because there's a lot more cost reduction seemingly, which allows you to get out more cards. But neither of them won first place at the World Championship. So
At the World Championship, no, but I know that we have had some representatives, especially from Canada, for instance, where we have seen some successes, some 6-0 runs in a best of one format, where a deck that the main thing is how reliable is it, and you get multiple 6-0 results. I mean, it was doing well, and even as Runefolk is pointing out in chat, are you not getting in trouble with time? Surprisingly, the people playing these decks are very, very well trained at playing these decks quick, and I mean real quick. So from what I've seen, like they barely went overtime, and when it does happen, it's usually them with more time left than their opponent, who are just not used to dealing with such a deck and have to read a lot more of the cards and have to adjust to all these new situations. However, it was quite vulnerable to removal. So, and then Sigismar kind of when Afanas got nerfed, it had a little bit of a resurgence because it had a really poor matchup into Afanas, as many others. But yeah, it was quite unique dependent, and they were not cheap to get by, especially after those first successful few results.
yep. Speaking of Canadians and a similar deck, believe Kaifu and her mid fair otter uniques
Yep, that's
are
exactly the ones I'm talking about.
yep. The key distinction there is that they do create a brass bug, and I think what we saw from Juan's deck is it was not creating brass bugs. And Runefolk mentions the new rules inside events. I could totally see that happening if you have the type of resupply deck where you're not putting out stats, but you're just resupplying as endlessly as you can, especially in person. I think the actual end goal for some of those decks, I'm not positive if Wands is the same, but there are decks that exist where the goal is not to get the most stats, it's to basically either on one side mana your whole deck, including your opponent's deck if possible, or to draw your entire deck.
And that
But
works.
yeah, in person that's hard.
Yeah, that definitely seems to lack a real punch at the end. Um, might prove tricky indeed. Probably why we haven't seen quite as many of them at the World Championship. Now, the thing we have seen quite many of at the World Championship is Sigismar. And the thing is, even though despite Ordis being heavily represented, I was quite surprised to see the amount of variance and creativity within Sigismar deck building. I mean, you were there in person. What struck you the most as maybe the most eyebrow raising deck lists that actually saw some success?
Oh, well, since I am not a fan of Ortis, I feel I feel like for the most part I didn't pay too much attention to those decks and they're not exciting to me. I will say I know that the ugly duckling is one of the, like, big new, techs in a Sigismard deck that became really popular, and a couple people were shouting from the rooftops. Um, what decks were super interesting to me were the ones that were I would call them off meta picks. So, Pava had an Akesha deck, and it was not, a prison or hostage or whatever you wanna call it deck.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
was just a very straightforward Akesha. She also does have a double discard Baku, which, helps.
That
Um,
does help. By the way, we are slowly getting started on table 15 currently,
15. Yeah, I
where
think
Trace is facing off against Rin. Rin, who has been absolutely popping up and quite has been proliferating these last few weeks. Not only festival builds, which have become quite decent, but also aggro builds slowly taking off as they are a little bit more rare though.
yep, a Rin aggro is super awesome. One of the key moments that I do still remember is during one of the WCQs, there was that moment where a player had 3 Hydrocanas out as Rin, and that was an epic moment. I think during World Championship, since everything was so tight and buttoned up, unfortunately, the most exciting or most memorable parts are when people made mistakes or topped decked something that just solved it perfectly. Rinku getting the hunger out right at the right moment. There were some blizzard escapades, some sixes rolled, some ones rolled. At that level, those are the most exciting parts to me.
Yeah, exactly. And also how the unforeseen situations are being dealt with by the that absolute crème de la crème of the players worldwide, where when they are facing off against these new situations, especially with the interaction of all these new cards, right? There was no real set meta yet, and I think in a way that was very beautiful because that doesn't happen a lot. It's quite rare to have such a raw pipeline to the actual thoughts of pro players and how they got to their deck.
Yep, that is where it became interesting with things like the ugly duckling, or I think we knew Soar was going to be a pretty popular card
Yeah.
going into it. I mean, it's a one cost card, but things like Skybound Odyssey in Ortis decks was a little surprising. I thought it would be more common in Bravos, but I believe we saw at least once or twice it was played in Ortis, so that was interesting. As
Skybound Odyssey
for
was proliferate. I felt like all the top finishing decks, it was really a race to the Odyssey, which I think really depicts the card so well, right? Like we're all chasing to get there, to the finish line, and Ordis having sacrificing some more of their control aspects for just pumping out threats onto the board. I thought it was a nice little switch up in the way they approach the game.
Yep. It is very interesting how some people will evaluate certain cards. I had a good handful of people looking at Skybound Odyssey and saying that it was not a good card because how they look at it is based on the main mana cost and the main ability. And they're like, I have to pay this much mana and also have these cards playable. And to me, it's more like this is a card for 5 mana that can do all these 3 different things, and if it's worst case scenario, you only play 1 character for free, you're still what? Ascending and drawing a card and playing 1 character? I'll take that deal any day.
Yeah, and it's exactly that because it enables a lot of wacky things where with how the turn structure is set up in Altered, where it's I do a thing, you do a thing. It the Skyward Odyssey really allows you to cheat that tempo, and we saw some double sabotage or some sabotage into exhaust type shenanigans from the first player, where it would really mess with the tempo of their opponent. However, you do give away the game, right? I mean, after Skyward Odyssey, not very often you are making two more plays after that, so you have kind of shown your hand. But and that's the other thing, you kind of want to spread out, right? Because both of your expeditions are ascending. You do kind of want to spread out your characters, but that does leave you vulnerable to being exploited because you have already committed your character so early on in the day.
Yeah, it is a, big splash out, big gamble. Those that were able to watch every moment of it might remember key details more, but I am pretty sure I did not dream it. There was a play of a Skybound Odyssey with a double Ortis spy, so
Yeah,
2
yeah, in the
sabotage.
finals, I believe, or like in the top 8, and
Yeah.
it was game defining. Now, what else is game defining is we are seeing Rin aggro in action right now,
Yep.
and it will be taking a 2-1 day, getting some sorely needed tempo. And look at that. They'll have a pretty healthy reserve, putting another card in and the winter close finding its way down there as well, while still having 3 cards on hand. Meanwhile, Trace has yet to get its 5th counter. Will definitely get there. But with the Grems, it's gonna be quite dependent on hitting some Frankensteins or hitting some more hooks to really gain back that tempo that it had earlier.
Yeah, this so the one-off rare winter outfits is actually probably one of my favorite little secret techs you can do in a deck,
Elaborate,
because
elaborate. I'm very curious.
yeah, so if you look at it, it has I lose fleeting, when played from reserve, so you really only need 1 copy because you can just bounce it back and forth, and that does put it up right there. It does put it in a hard place for removal, but most opponents will feel really bad about using their removal on something that costs 1, especially if they're removing it from the expedition. And then
Right?
in my head, if you do lose it, you're like, "Okay, I probably at least got 1 or 2 afternoons of play out of it, and it was 1 mana. I'm good to go." This Rain deck, what's scary to me is it does read as 100%, aggro. We don't see
Definitely.
anything that would expressly say that it has festival, but it still could have festival
But
in there,
that's the
and that's
nasty part,
scary.
right? You can just run it as a one-off, and if you run
Yeah.
into it, you run into it. I mean,
Yep.
it still draws you a card at 4 mana, which is not a great ratio, right? But yeah, you can just kind of whip one in, and if it wins you a game once every what, let's say 11 games, you might just not be too upset about that. And if you don't like it, you just dump it.
Yep. One of the things that would maybe clue me into that possibility is the fact that this Son of Yggdrasil unique they played, it does have a landmark stipulation on it.
True.
If you look in the discard, it could be just another misdirect,
I
and,
mean, or also a 4 mana 5/4/3 gigantic is
Yep, yep,
a properly statted scary, scary son.
yep. This play of the floor is really interesting as well. I really love this card, but if you look at it right now, it's a terrible time for the Rin to play it because if it goes into reserve, it's going to have to boost something on the other side. But also, this Rin player might know that the Trace wants to get rid of the Armored Jammer and keep the 2 Bastions, so it is possibly gonna get sabotaged anyway and not have to boost anything. So we'll see what the Trace decides here.
Yeah, I think the most important part here is that it does look like the trace will not be making up for its loss in expeditions, right? They're looking to go for another 1-for-1, which is currently favored on the side of the Rin player. But we are getting in that bit of an awkward situation where you are getting you're becoming quite dependent on these extra forest biome showing up in your draws. You'll get another draw right now from Rin by because you're advancing with the Simbi. But from there, you're really gonna have to be careful and draw into the right tools. And that is why we see a lot of magic beans, why we do see a lot of Persephones, and not even the rare Persephones, right? This Rin is not necessarily about making the game easier to play by removing or interacting with his opponents. It's just about plowing away through the forest and getting to the finish line as fast as they can.
Also, another really cool interaction that I did not foresee happening is the floor actually could have boosted that Capelia in how it sequenced, and the Capelia went to reserve, and then it went into the expedition. So in a normal turn, that is a very cool interaction. But as I mentioned before, the armor jammer does take out the floor. This will be very interesting. What I would love here from a Rin is a Hydrocana play, but I'm not sure if we'll see it.
I think that is the best common I've seen all day. The Rin aggro decks are really just run forest decks. that is that
Yeah.
is really good, Elka. That is prize worthy. That is top common of the day for sure. Yeah. Now we are getting down to the wire, and as the first unique on the side of Trace is being revealed, let us have a look. That is doing a lot of shenanigans from reserve. Gets a lot of boosts, and that is the most important key. It can really dominate a single expedition, and with those extra hooks still available, you might be a little worried about that. Now, with the contortionist entering play in a water expedition, you do have to assume that there is still a little trick up the Rin sleeve here to turn that expedition into, well, from water into wine. I mean, forest. But we'll have to see if that pays off for them.
Yep. This is a very interesting, turn to split. You would normally want to see the contortionist played on the hero side to stack up on the mountain and just, you're already ahead from here. If you can one for one, you win. But it's also something I'm very bad at doing. It is very easy to get greedy and altered and think, I have a path where maybe I could win the game right here. And it'll be interesting to see what the Rin pulls out and what they were planning. Um,
Yeah, and here you are hurting a little bit on the side of Trace because you are first player, right? And it is we are so early on the day. We only have 7 mana at our disposal, and a beauty sleep will absolutely neutralize the Ada here, and that is a 1 mana answer to a 2 mana investment plus another card. Luckily for them, they haven't invested any more boosts from the Havens themselves, but an absolute pivotal play. But also tipping the hand from Red. If they cannot get the job done this very day, they might be in big trouble.
yeah, let's see that hooked. Yeah, that hook's got to go over to Capelia, make it so stacked on the companion side, but still with 0 stats. Very, very good kind of time buying strategy as well as the Rin can use the beauty sleep again if you were to put out another character. I would say the dangerous thing from Traced side here is they have the Grems and a Sap Sniffer and 2 Haven Bravo Bastions. So that's a lot of stuff to work with, but
But they don't have
and
the mana. They can only play one.
true, true, yeah. They can only play basically the Grems, sacrifice, and get 1 brass bug.
I am holding my breath here because 1 mana is enough for a Magic Beans, which can give another boost as well, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to be ooh, and 1 mana left on the side of Trace. It is really gonna come down to this. Do they have the magic beans on hand? Do they have the beans or are they bluffing?
What do they got? Also, this Eru Emissary of the Wild is a very interesting card. I think it
But they
basically
do have
only
the beans.
there are
They
the
have what it
beans.
takes. They have the beans, and now they are eyeing a very, very solid victory. All the puzzle pieces falling into place. Now, how do you contest this with a single mana as the trace? I think you are done and dusted.
The only hope for them here is that it's still just going to be one progression for the Rin and it'll go to another day. But what? Yeah, one
But they
mana.
didn't think about the beans. They didn't take
Yeah,
into account the beans of the matter.
the beans of the matter. Well, yeah, one mana for traced. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything you have that from hand. Yeah, and
No, there
they just
is
passed.
the pass, and that will be all she wrote. Woo, Rin. Oh, but they are not in water.
Yep.
Oh, they have to play
Yep.
the beans on the other side, of course. To that is. Oh, I was so convinced that they had the win in the bag with the beans, but because they had to play the beans on their hero side, that meant they were just sitting in water. And unlike fish in a barrel, who would actually quite thrive in water, these were like fish in a forest, except they're not in a forest. So, what is something that doesn't thrive in water but does live in a forest?
Pair tropical birds.
Badgers, badger, like a badger in water. Well, they're quite. What would absolutely not survive in water that is in a forest? Guys, help us out here.
Spiders,
Mm,
except for the ones that do survive in
yeah,
water.
mm, like a rock in water.
There
Sinking
you
straight
go.
to the bottom without going forward.
There you go.
And
You
of
made
course,
it.
woods renowned for their amounts of rocks. And now a Frankenstein entering the scene and the Ada arising, all well rested onto the scene, might prove troublesome. However, they're going to have to contest in a lot of different expeditions, and they cannot be threatening a win just yet. So a single expedition win, and well, you know how nasty these beauty sleeps are. They really can turn the tide of a battle.
Yeah. For me, this Persephone being uh resupplied or put in reserve, whichever way you want to call it, is basically the perfect card for this moment. We know that traditionally Traced does not run very much removal. We have, I guess, only one hooked used, so that could negate the Persephone. But at the same time, if you move it, that's six
Yeah.
forest you got to deal with
Just take
after.
a look at this unique though. It's another Anansi effect for each card in reserve. So you will be eyeing that as soon as possible. And after that play, you still have the grams available to you as well. So there is just a whole lot of power available currently to the trace player. However, even if they are investing quite heavily right now, and they will be emptying out their entire reserve, that leaves them quite bare for the next day. But with these uniques, that will be keeping that reserve topped up, so to speak. They get to keep the engine going way longer than you would maybe originally intend for it to do. These trace decks that can keep their reserves piled up really are the Toyota 4x4s of Altered.
Yeah, as I always say, never count a traced out. There's just so much utility in their deck list. Basically, everything you would want to put in reserve or resupply is useful. We had one of the players typing for a moment, which is usually very interesting. Signifies them saying like GG or something like that. But I mean, even if traced goes 2-0 right here, it's not a GG yet. So maybe they realized that and, and stop typing.
And they're just stalling a little more, being able to take the fleeting away from some of these uniques is gonna be absolutely disastrous. There is Rin waving the white flag for the day as the Grems will be securing a 2-0 day for the Trace, tying them up all once more for a final showdown. Now, this match has gone down to the absolute wire. And I think the most important thing for the Trace player right now, besides, of course, getting their uniques back, is the fact that they are finally out of this solo forest biome. Finally, they have some room to breathe again, where they can escape this chokehold that Rin really can put you in by keeping you trapped in these forest biomes.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why they would have played out. Oh, I guess they did. Did they need to play it out to advance? I
Yeah,
did not pay.
they were six in forests, and our Rin player was seven in forests, so they were
Okay,
given.
okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I was paying more attention to the companion side, and then I saw them playing out a lot more. But yeah, this Ada Lovelace is going to be pretty scary, especially because the Traced is the first player. Rain does not have a chance to get rid of that contortionist in reserve, and it'll be very interest. Well, I mean now they do, but that's a perfect resupply right there.
Yeah, just being able to see more of their deck to see if they can hit some of those Frankensteins, another hooked. The resources are really just drying up on the side of Rin, where Trace is happily sitting at five counters, just putting down these cards back into reserve, playing the Ada next turn that will come into play with 3 to 4 counters. It is Trace Valhalla, and what looked like to be such a smooth and thrilling ride to victory has turned to ash in the mouth of Rin as well the forests are burning right in front of her eyes.
There is still a chance for a beauty sleep from downtown. There's only been one in the discard. We can't check the mana. Another thing is, I told you I would tell you when players are going negative in time, and our Trace player has
True,
hit that moment where they are negative in time.
they have. And even the Rin player, very healthy, 6.5 minutes left. Meanwhile, our Trace player in the red as of right now, but they have so many cheap cards. You just wait out this Rin player and see what they have left in store. Threatening 9 power in a solo forest, also changing the region for the Trace player. GG is being called, so I'm gonna have to believe that is it. That is all she wrote, threatening a double advance with 4 mana left in the tank, and a winter close is not going to change that.
Yep. Let's see here. Oh, the wreath or reef to get rid of a 2 mana thing. Blah, blah, blah. That'll do it. And unfortunately, this is what you see pretty common with Muna, especially something that's built a little more off of older tech, I would say. I mean, we did see the Eru, um, but nothing too new, like no ascending or any cuckoo or anything like that. So Rain just ended up running out of momentum right at the end there.
Yeah, really, that little mishap with having not a single water available to them, those magic beans only boosting something in their very own reserve, is what did them in at the very end. Now, I'll be scouting for a juicy new little table. Let's see what's in store for us. Let's have a look at these matches. Now, this one was quite a close one, so I think we'll be having to search a little more downward to see if there's any matches still going. Let's see, table 22. Let's have a look if we can sneak in. Nope.
Already
Yep.
ended.
Nope. We are in. We're in the money. Bam! Right into the action as we have an Axiom v Axiom face off. Trace is up in tempo, but a double Brass Bug Hive dominating the landmark field. But will it be enough? A single loss in expeditions will be the end of this Sierra.
Ooh, yeah, there is the double brass bug hive out here, but The reserve alone for Traced is stacked right
Yeah, it's
now.
threatening.
Very
And
interesting they would put out the Kellen Elemental instead of the bug out bag. Wonder what they're cooking.
but they are waving the flag.
Yeah.
That will be all. Now, as all these tables are slowly coming to a close, let's see if we can sneak in another one, or if it's not to be. Now, I think I think we can just discuss a little more. Let me fly us over. Oh, hi there, handsome. Let me make sure that still kind of fiddling to see what the best angle. Guys, is this my good side or is it still a little there? There. It's still a lot of ceiling. Let me eh, there we go. Dude, it's not easy being this short. All right, all right. So
I-
now that we are, I think we can slowly start to see a top take shape. And I do want to keep an eye out. So I'm gonna see if we can, for our next round, I'm gonna try and see if we can scout out some of these newer heroes, see how they're doing. Or we're gonna scout out this Waru table that I have seen mentioned in the chat, because that my heart rate is increasing as I'm reading this. How? What about you, Cole?
I would
Oh, Jesus.
temper your expectations. Your heart may go take a nap at that table instead of, getting excited, but we'll see. We'll see.
Are you
Uh
calling me a bureaucrat?
I'm calling Runefolk's deck a snooze fest for everyone involved. Being that it is 99% likely to be a hostage deck, but I don't know. Could be wrong.
His claims are that he hasn't gone to time even once.
At least we will not be locked into a 45-minute game if we end up at that table. But yeah, new heroes. We saw an interesting Nadir match, kind of seeing some strategy there, but
Actually, I'm going to be very rude. There's a game going to arena, so let's cut to that. I'm so sorry for interrupting you, Cole. But come on, it's arena. What are we gonna do?
yes,
Let me. It is table 6.
yes, Siggy versus Siggy Arena. Very scary, unique just by the name. In the side of DSL Keps, it's a Kokoba. It is if you control 4 or more characters, create 2 recruits. Oh, but they're
That's
gonna
from
play it
hand.
out. Yeah. I can't read, it's moving too much. If you control a token, characters you control gain 1 boost. Ooh, ouch. The Anubis tech, though.
I love it when they play Anubis. However, it's not going to pay off for them just now. Just going to leverage that tiny little bit, a single power, right? They will be gaining in here. But that's the beauty of Arena. A single power can be that decisive in a match like this. Now, the resources slowly drying up on the side of our top Sigismar from France. Time is running lower and lower as support abilities are being pulled out. It's really going to come down to the wire in this one.
Yeah, I'm interested in why, the Unique was played so quickly. I think it was to dodge.
To save it from sabotage. It has to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but there was no sabotage. We'll see, what they have here.
Ooh,
That
ascended, but not enough.
yeah. That is, not going to do it. Just winning by a couple stats here. The Sigismar from Pan out of Austria takes the win. So very, very cool little quick ending there.
Yeah, and that was actually one of the higher ranked tables. So I'm very curious what these new draws will bring us as we are advancing through to round number 3. Let me see. Yeah, pairings will be up in a little tiny bit. Now, I do believe I was rudely interrupting Your thought. Can you recall?
Just something about giving Runefolk a hard time, probably. And yeah, hoping we see some new exciting heroes or decks or other inclusions. Seems like we still have a good amount of Traced and Sigismar around. Uh, Give us the answers on how to defeat them, and together we can all do it.
Yeah, and I think, well, it might not be the answers people are looking for, but especially these trade decks that have been so strong and favored in many a conquest list on the World Championship as well. We did see some movement in these orders lists where people started to slowly pick up some Scrooge rare slots for 3 mana. You get a 3/3/3 that makes everything more expensive from reserve by one, including your own. And I thought it was actually some really interesting tech to see some cards that we may have forgotten a little bit about, right? Since Trial by Frost felt like ages ago. But I think we have not really gotten to the ultimate version of the meta, right? We are still ex- exploring new cards and how they interact and how they can form answers towards current day problems. And I think it's really rewarding to see creative players be rewarded in tournaments. And I think it really is these players that are adapting to the situation around them instead of mindlessly fielding the same decks over and over again, that will differentiate themselves from the competition and will, in the long run, take advantage of people just running the same decks over.
That is the hope and the dream. We're still early in the season, I guess, so there were a lot of things we mentioned earlier about needing the qualification, people still figuring things out, Skybound Odyssey being new. So looking forward to how the season develops. I think I'm still in the realm of not entirely knowing what the meta is fully. Either that or I'm just delusional and it's, right there and it's the same as it was 2 weeks ago, but hopefully not that one.
Yeah, and I think it is fair to say that people have, after the World Championship, it has taken a little. People are taking a bit of a breather, right? And now that the AWOLs are starting up again, you can see that these tournaments are getting more signups and so on and so on. Because I think today might just be a really telltale point where this is the first larger tournament, right, with like more than 60 people playing, that will be played post World Championship.
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, we can at least say it is the first that has 126 players exactly, since Worlds happened. Another thing we see is after big events or after something, super interesting happens in an event, the meta and the just gameplay as a whole kind of mimics that for about a week or two, and then after that, it starts to balance back out. I wish I had exact examples of a key moment. I think Rin is probably one of the ones after we saw Rin Festival, I think, take second place in one of the WCQs.
Hmm.
For at least 2 days, there were a lot more Rins, on ladder than there were previously.
Definitely, and I think the nice part of those decks, what is really enticing to play those decks yourself, is the Rin decks are not very pivotal on their uniques. It really is, and that's why Trace is so nice to play as well, right? You don't. I mean, the uniques can definitely pull it to the next level. However, the core base of the deck is so consistent and so reliable, and that is why it's not only seeing success in regular tournaments, but in these no uniques tournaments as well. Traced is doing really well, and I think that is something that, as the season is moving on, we will kind of keep an eye on as to see how it develops. As we have had confirmed that that Equinox will be trying to work on um, implementing more variety in the formats offered on BGA.
Yeah, that was probably one of the biggest stories outside of Worlds of the past week is the things that they mentioned about potential for other formats on BGA specifically. I am cautious about what those will be and when they actually come, but I know a lot of people are really wanting and looking forward to such things. So
Yeah, I think this is very beautiful because it really highlights the fundamentals of a deck, right? It's a little less pizzazz and a little less fireworks, but it really just brings out the bare bones of a deck and what makes it work and what is maybe more of a luxury or a bell and a whistle, so to speak. Now, with all the talk of no uniques and the format developing, let's take a look at the game in front of us because even though we have seen some Atsaris seeing play with success at the World Tournament, Sierra is a hero that has seen definitely not even remotely as much play. And I like this introduction of the Moonlight Jellyfish. Just uniques are being banned, not the rare ones. And I love to see it paired up with man. You hate to see it in Izmir, but you kind of love to see it in Axiom. It's Nila.
yeah, I think one of the interesting things I started noticing in the Basira match we were watching is something specifically in that same regard, where we saw the Ozma played in the Basira to pretty good use.
Hmm.
Previously, a card that was suspended for a bit, and then it was changed in Ortis. So maybe secret tech here is if a card is banned or changed in one faction, see what it does in the other faction, and maybe it'll be great.
Yeah. Uh, this part it is going to get you some extra boost just for people that are not completely familiar with what it does in Ordis. When a robot joins one of your expeditions, you may sacrifice me to give it two boosts. I think a lovely little introduction, especially now that the Aphanuses are kind of like dying out and the more control pieces are scattered out and they're still there, but they are less prevalent than they used to be. Now, have you ever seen a Sierra play this aggro? And you can be honest.
Have I seen it this aggro?
Yeah, I mean we are sitting on was it day three,
Mhm.
or like day three, day four, and we're only two steps away. I have seen Kojo decks have struggle more to move forward than this Sierra.
Yeah, I think this matchup specifically kind of also highlights where Atsadi is coming from now. And I mean this game is very interesting if you take stock of the whole thing. You have Atsadi with 9 mana now and only 1 card in discard. You have the Sierra who only has 6 mana but is, as you said, 1, 2 steps away from winning, and only a jellyfish in the discard. I think
Oh,
what is this? When I'm sacrifice, draw a card, sacrifice me. Let's
but
see,
most
8.
importantly, it's a 3 mana landmark that will
Yeah,
get the brass bug out, and because this Asadi is trapped in the water biome, the he's just not getting out. He is just not getting out, and he is hanging on for dear life. But the resources have all gone up in flames. Meanwhile, Sierra is absolutely rolling in it.
yeah. I think this specifically is more of a symptom of Sierra versus Atsadi specifically, but also I think we're at the top table, so the Sierra has to be doing something good, maybe, or maybe BGA paired interestingly. I don't have time to scroll through
Yeah, fun
the
fact, this
list
is
here.
stable 1. This
Yeah.
is we are seeing such a major stomp, and I think not necessarily seeing except for maybe the jellyfish, not many surprising cards maybe, but the way they are being played out, I think it's too easy to say, "Oh, it's just a nice run out for, the Sierra." I really think they have changed a little bit of how they are focusing their mana lines because these Neelams are absolutely doing work. And I am very curious if they maybe are playing the designer drones as well, which can or like more of these exhaust me at noon cards that can interact so nicely with the Neelams.
Yeah, one thing that is absolutely a testament to the Sierra here is that use of mechanical training on the Neelam. That is super cool tech. I assume the Atsari is gearing up for a hunger right here, and then drawing a card, and there it is. uh,
Uh,
it seems though a
all you need
little
is a
too
single
late.
creature. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's either Saudi waited too long or they drew it too late. This is AEG Aragorn, so I would assume it's they got it too late more so than they waited too long to play it. But yeah, they're calling GG's in the chat here. That is the unfortunate side of hunger is it'll be very big and strong and wipe everything on the hero side. But Sierra has 4 mana left.
And that is plenty. What is the well, the deity, the spirit that is hunger in the eyes of a brave little bug boy, man. What a thrilling conclusion to our number one match. Now, let's see if we can find a second table. If you have seen any interesting matchups, by the way, please let me know. That goes to Cole as well as people in chat. If they're like, "Ooh, I really want to see how so and so is doing in the tournament," please be my guest.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, table 5, if you haven't already picked one, it is a lower percentage and it is a Subash versus a Kojo. So that could be
Ooh.
very interesting here.
Hold on to your seats, guys, because I have made a statement that this season is Savage season, where with the extra cards at their disposal, and the way they can leverage it, I think you should be feeling really, really good as a for maybe a whole new era of subhash supremacy.
Let's see if the prophecy can come true here. Ooh, a 2/2 machine in the ice. What does this do?
So true
Uh
more landmarks create a brass bug token in your companion expedition. So 2 mana 4/3/2 that makes 2/2/2 is pretty spicy. Now, the reason why we haven't seen subhash at all in previous metas is because it just always ran out of steam. It never had the reason. It could get ahead, but it couldn't stay ahead just because you're committing so many cards to your reserve, and at that time there weren't too many ways to really earn those cards back, and the ways that did earn them back, you would still just rather play traced.
I think that's me. I think I'm freezing. I don't know if you are.
I think we're back fine.
That was weird. I swear I saw all of the cards in hand for a player there for a second. And my game and audio and everything were glitching out, but you can hear me fine?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I see the problem. They played an armored jammer, and it was messing with our
Oh,
stream for a bit. But we
yes.
we have recovered now.
All right. Sorry, what what were you saying before we got jammed?
Yeah. So the thing why we haven't seen any subhash is it always ran out of resources. but with these super attractive and beautiful landmarks that offer you a lot more options in what kind of arrows you can trigger with Frankenstein, or also by putting the landmarks into your reserve with Subhash's ability itself. You are not really missing out on any value, so to speak. You really are a way more threatening or a way more versatile deck, while still being able to make use of the cheapened card in auction.
Yeah, I would love to see some more success from Subash. I know there are some pretty heavy fans of Subash around that have been running him since day one, and maybe this is their time to shine. When we were having some weird issues, there was this Haven Bouncer unique played, and this thing is nasty. It has double sabotage from reserve, basically. And then at dusk, you may discard one of your mana orbs. And if you do, discard target permanent. Harder to pick and choose and use to your advantage against Axiom in the permanent regard, but that is a very nasty card in general. We'll see what they pick here. They are first player, so they get to pick first, which is where this becomes very strong. Because the Subosh player will actually not be able to pick to get rid of the armored jammer and get that sabotage. So very, very perfect sequence here for Kojo. Oh, wait.
Yeah, no, they,
What?
they they have they have decided not to use their. We are already past dusk. We're at cleanup.
What?
They
What? What?
Ko- Kojo has decided not to use the at dusk ability.
No, if you look at the play by play, or wait, no, Junis. Okay, no, you're right. Man, what? Why?
Yeah,
That
it
threw me
is.
through a
It's
loop.
kind of a shame, right? Because at dusk becomes before cleanup, and if you
Yeah.
do sacrifice one of your mana orbs, and you do get rid of the jammer like that, it was going to sabotage the only thing that was left here, and that was a Duel of Grit, which, given also not a bad card to get rid of. However, they're prioritizing the extra mana, and that could be
Yeah.
because they might be fielding hunger, and getting rid of all these landmarks for subhash might actually be their downfall.
Yep, yeah, you're right. The hunger is there. Very interesting decision in my eyes, especially because you allowed Subash to discard the jammer themselves, which got rid of your bouncer anyways. But yeah, I guess if you really wanted the hunger play here,
Yeah, and
but
look at the state that Subhash is in right now. A single card, a single card, and they'll have a reason. Well, no, it's discarded, and it only triggers when it's sacrificed. So they will be getting not a single card from this, and they're just stuck with the single card in hand still. Meanwhile, as the Kojo, you are eyeing um, your you'll your two cards in hand still, and of course a hunger in reserve.
yeah, very, very interesting. I'm interested to see if a hunger play at the wrong moment is a downside in two different games today. But I mean, Kojo is ahead on a Buddha turn with more resources and the hunger that can be played to be gigantic. So we will see here how it goes. And all of my cats today, all of being just two, have wanted to come and say hi and annoy me on my lap throughout today. So they must have missed me while I was gone for a week or something.
How dare they? How dare they have missed you?
I'm trying to work here.
It is looking pretty dire currently for RCR player who has not managed. They have committed a card to their reserve. It is our lovely Earhart 1 mana 2/2 is gonna have a good time, but with Buddha on the board right now as well. And ooh, I mean, you just hate to see it. The twinkle twinkle. It is a kind of flavor card in Kojo decks that will sometimes played as a one-off, rarely more than two, but it can be so absolutely disastrous in the right circumstances when they need to be pushed over just a little bit over the edge.
Yeah, I'm interested in what Kojo does from here though. Subash was able to go up over on the hero side and still have 3 mana left. Yep, I was waiting for the discard of the Twinkle Twinkle. Ooh, into the mana eruption. This is gonna be great because it's gonna continue to boost up the hunger
It
as you
definitely is.
discard.
As the well played is being called out from our Axiom representative, they will be waving the white flag,
Yep,
and that is all she wrote. Now, I do have to highlight Gus in chat uh, ordering you to get off and let the cats take over, and I
yep,
am inclined to agree. Not because you're not super entertaining, but man,
yep.
show the cats. Where
I
are the cats, Paul?
hopefully you
Gus
saw
said you're good for
the
it.
big yeah. Hopefully you saw the big fluffy orange guy for a moment. He has
Oh man, that's
already
me.
ran off. You and him have some stuff in common. We're getting to the end of round 3 here. We do see some tables with life. I need to grab some water real quick.
Honestly,
Uh
I think it's probably a good idea. I'm gonna refill as well, so let's just throw to a quick little 2 3 minute break, and then when we get back, we'll be rehydrated and ready to pounce.
all right, sounds
How does
good
that
to
sound?
me.
All right, guys,
Perfecto.
we'll be right back then. Let me see if this works. All right. All right, all right, all right. We're back from break. And there is absolutely no rest for the wicked guys because we are jumping into game. Let me see if we can get some gameplay going. Ah, there we are. Cole will be joining me shortly, I am sure. Let me see. All right, we are entering the arena as Trace is facing off against a very properly stocked Sigismar. How you doing, Cole? Welcome back. We only just got back. I thought I covered your camera, but I guess I only did that for our main screen. Whoopsie daisy. But welcome back. So glad to have you. As I was saying, this is a ordinarily well topped off Sigismar.
What table are we at?
Oh yeah, that is of course quite 13, 1-3.
13. Sigismar again. Let's see. Sigismar and Traced. Man, this very unique matchup we do not see very often. Um yeah, the Sigismar has a ton of options here, but as I will repeatedly keep saying, never count Traced out. Has not even used his ability yet. Has a Paju and an Amelia Earhart in reserve. I do like the statted up Ortis accountant for the Siggy though. That could be pretty devastating to Trace, who probably doesn't have sabotage to get rid of it.
Yeah, and I mean a one mana token spawner is definitely trouble as it gets to put down, especially because Trace really doesn't have any proper answers to it, does it? As
Yeah, the you would hope for a one-off boom or something to get rid of that, but not all traced players run it.
no, it is a tricky one for them, definitely so. And it looks like it's just going to be purely facing off. Now, in this instance, you might actually be quite happy that you are not having any Frankensteins right now, since those would be very juicy targets to sleep for the accountant. And these little threats, they can still be slept, but it's it's many small problems that you have to address as Siggy, unless you're just gonna steam waltz forward and keep playing the small threats yourself.
And yeah, there's just gonna be so many options available to keep drawing out those tokens from Siggy's side. And an ascended expedition on the companion. 6 mana though. What can Trace do with 6 mana here to mean, at least go to arena is probably your best hope now.
Yeah, I think overwhelming one side of the expeditions might be the way you want to go, but it's a little tricky, right? Because you're looking down the barrel of this Orders accountant, and there's a fairly good shot that that's not even the last play still. Now this surprises me a little bit.
Yeah, I forgot
Why
about
has
the
this?
reef.
But at this point, you're taking away the token spawner. But is that really solving your issues right now? I feel like it has already gotten quite some work done. It's a little
Yeah,
tricky. Would
uh,
you have targeted the token spawner or something else on the field?
the I don't know if there is a right answer for traced here, but what I agree with targeting that may have been the wrong answer is if you read this foundry mechanic entirely, it puts the recruit token in the other expedition.
And how you get to switch?
Uh, yeah, now as Siggy, you just get a switch, which seemingly they don't. You hear they're going to go for the sleep and see how Traced can answer.
Which kind
Uh,
of confirms my suspicion that they are holding some 2 mana, either an attorney or something similar, or maybe another, accountant in hand, to finish the day off with. Um, However, as traced, like, I feel like if you're maybe playing out the small threats here and wait out the, accountant itself, and then you can bounce that, I feel like that's a lot more value and a lot more bang for your buck, so to speak.
and Traced is digging for something now.
Oh,
Oh, all
that's not a
right.
bad hit, actually.
Yeah, now they can get rid of the accountant. Oh, they ran out of time though. Let's see
They
here.
are slowly approaching, our hard ceiling as well for the day. It's gonna be tight. There you go. I mean, that is just kinda a double advance as well, like a double ascended. So even if you do get rid of something now or you even it out, oh, but they will go over the top.
Just barely going to arena here, and with no time to spare, the Traced is going to have that Amelia Earhart that was slept to give a little bit of a boost going into the
Yeah,
arena,
but
but
the
they are also the
Sigismar will
player
have a
negative.
token spawner.
Yep,
And the
yep.
time advantage, of course, which is eking, into sight more and more.
Yeah, let's see here who can come away. Trace does have the form of card advantage being built into the hero itself. The bug out bag could could be interesting, but this token spawner and the ascended available are very interesting on Sigismar's side. They're I think I might have to refresh. I think it's frozen.
Yeah, I think it's still going on stream. So I think on my side
Okay.
we're doing just fine. So that's very very happy. Now you kind of have to put out the token, spawner, and if they do have something to trigger their reef with, then that's so be it. If they have the answers, they have it. As of right now, that's not what it's looking like as the token spawner begins spawning. And man, you can just sense that this trace is like racing against the clock, trying to get all his cards out as fast as he humanly can.
Oof. That's let's see. Yeah, that does just about nothing here in arena. I guess it is somewhat of an after you type play. So
Yeah, which is
we'll
great when you have plenty of cards, but this trace does not have plenty of cards.
Yep.
And a perfect finish for Sigismar here as well, utilizing all of the mana available to them, and that is just a thing of beauty. Oh, and the hooked, man, the double whiff on the side of the trace. That's got to sting a little.
They still have a chance. What do they got? What do they got? Oh,
The triple
okay.
whiff,
Oh.
the rare triple whiff.
Let's
Now they
see.
do have a 4/4/4 that will be entering, putting them on 10/10/10, and they can get rid of a 2/2/2. But even then, it is not enough because on water they will be eking out just that little bit. Now they could be. No, I don't think even that would work. Even if they went for a resupply to see if they could ding something off the top, like the gibble, even then that would not be enough. So sadly, it will be close, but no cigar for Traced. It is Ortis supremacy once again.
2 points in water. How do you see it?
That is
Man.
sometimes all you need in the arena now, going down to the absolute wire. Actually, kind of a nail biter. It looked very lost for the trace, I'll be honest, but actually cutting it a lot closer than, well, I thought imaginable.
Indeed, indeed. And that brings us into round 4 out of 6 day on the AWOL weekly Monday season 4. And at table
Any more
2,
adjectives? Fully booked. Week
yep,
3.
yep. Technically
Bro-
remake as well. So
Brought to you by
nobody yet, but if you want to
VGA,
send me some
baby.
money,
VGA. And we thank
uh
them. Now, I have decided, since they have been in chat already, boasting, boasting how quick they are, how absolutely undefeated their run has been so far, and they are looking to continue it. We will be covering Runefolk's game, who, as rumor has it, is piloting Waru himself. Now, let's get right into it. And oh, look at that call! It's against the other hero you love so much. It's Sigismar! Yay!
I am after today. I think I am fully ready to embrace rotation when it comes, and yeah, see you never again, Sigismar, and also Traced.
Actually, Cole was sharing with me in the break how he has a plan to errata Ordis to just ban every card and replace them with the mana orbs. There's no more cards to be played in Ordis. Just full Thanos snap twice, just both hands
Yep, yep.
at the same time.
I'm making some traction in my rallying to Equinox to make that happen. So we'll see.
Now, the first day, not a great day, right? It's we're looking at an Ordis v Ordis. You can have opinions on that, but my lord, it is not a Sigismar or a Ghoul rank. So I'm a happy camper as right now, and I'm seeing all kinds of cards that I haven't seen in a while, such as the Silas that is drawing him cards, getting him the boosts. However, recovering from a 2-0 day one is tricky, but if anyone can do it, it should be Waru and all of their tricksiness. Case in point.
Yep, the Isatok. I think this is probably Runefolk's favorite card other than Celebration Day. By now. Very but there's the Skybound Odyssey from the side of Sigismar. We'll see what they can do with it. Hey,
Ooh.
there's one spy and an attorney. That is a very nice turn from the Sigismar.
Yeah. However, oh no. They will be advancing, of course, because Isidok is asleep.
Yep. To answer
That is how it works.
some questions real quick in the chat. Did anyone pre-order yet? How? It's not open yet. And do we have
Soon.
information about rotation? Not specifically
Oh,
yet.
and anyone that says that they do is probably lying to you. Let's be real here.
Yep. I'm pretty sure at most we can say that it will happen, but no idea when or what is where
Yeah,
we're
I
at
mean,
now.
just as time goes on, it is not sustainable for the people working on the game to keep into account an ever growing amount of cards, right? So yeah, all this reasoning is just purely based on what is like a logical progression for any TCG.
Yep. I think most recently there was technically an answer in an AMA or something, and they said it would be at least another year out or 2. I think that was the answer.
Yeah,
You
and with
can
the
find
with the sets being released, right? I think that is seems feasible. And even then, there is always the well, I want the risk is maybe a big word, but the chance of them re-releasing the same heroes.
Yeah, yeah, there is always the possibility of something coming back around and technically not being in a set that was rotated out, but is once again playable. And then, multiple formats, which we've kind of already talked about here. Um, whether, legacy, I don't know what other games really call it, but we've talked a little about the no unique format, potentially maybe coming to BGA and other things like that. So there's always a way to continue the love for certain things, even if they're not the, official set or format.
No, it is looking fine for now. Now, what has changed currently? Currently, Warwu is looking down a 3-0 deficit. So the deficit is growing. Maybe he is a bureaucrat after all, as this deficit is definitely still growing. Trying to keep the books afloat may prove quite costly. Keeping up in resources relatively fine. I mean, the landmarks are gonna hurt over time. I will admit. However, currently you're not feeling too bad as a Sigma player, especially if you can start threatening um, the win next turn. And in this case, you can even start sleeping your own creatures as well, right?
Yeah, what I'm working on here is I'm watching the time tick down for Sigismar. I don't know if it's just me, but there's a couple interactions in the current iteration of BGA that it just freezes on my end.
Yeah, I have
Uh,
that too. I have to refresh sometimes as well. It happened on stream once or twice as well. So if you see it happen on stream as well, please say something. And 'cause sometimes we kind of get lost in our little dialogue that's going on, and
what?
with people just sometimes it's hard to tell if someone is just thinking for a little bit or if we're
Yeah.
in need of a refresh.
Yeah, what is weird is I was about to say how I usually tell if it's frozen or not is the time ticking down. It didn't work this time because the Sigismar player on my end was showing they were getting down to 8 minutes in time, and then I refreshed and,
Oh,
noticed the game was getting away from me, and they don't have 8 minutes left, they have 10 minutes, so even that didn't work.
you
Anyways,
have found a whole new kind of bug.
ay, 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 ay. Yep, BGAOP. So let me, catch up with where the game is actually at. License withdrawal on a Bountiful Meadow, I
All
guess
right.
that, is a thing. Doesn't feel super impactful, but as you mentioned, the Sigismar is kind of already, staring down the win here. I am not 100% sure on this deck, the moment where Runefolk, wants to get it to basically ensure the win. If it were the Ysmir version of this style of deck, of course, it would be at this moment at 8 mana. If you allowed Runefolk to get there and have the right pieces, it would basically just be game over. But we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, passing the day with 2 mana left kind of makes you scratch your head and ask what might be going on here now. Oh, sleeping or and I am curious, will you be sleeping your soldier or another piece with 5 mana still? But he will be sleeping the accountant, leaving him quite vulnerable to being overtaken with just with one more. Yeah, there you go. A single boost is all you need.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty smart play in Sigismar's standpoint here. Maybe realizing what kind of deck they're up against. I am fairly certain you could have picked the recruit again and not had to have slept two characters. But realizing you're
That
so
is
far ahead.
definitely that's definitely be possible, but I think they might just be. preferring the extra bodies on this day, right?
Yeah.
Because it was
Yep.
already a little tricky trying to wiggle their way into an advance on that very same day. I actually am very entertained by the way this game is turning out and juggling these bureaucrats into netting you these cards over and over and over again. It's actually really good at stalling, despite maybe lacking those cheap after you cards that you would expect to see from a Fen or from a Afanas.
Yep. Yep. Very, very smart plays here. Like I said, I don't know the point that Runefolk wants to get this deck to, but what we can see just looking at it is the card advantage is higher on Waru's side, but is it high enough? Not that big of a gap yet.
Not yet, not yet. But when you take into account that this attorney will be going to reserve as well, right? Meanwhile, all of the cards on the Sigmar field will be going to discard as it stands right now. But the attorney is feels a little, I don't want to say useless, but it's not really ensuring that advance. It's not a threat. However, with so many cards drawn, you kind of have to assume that there might be another Istok hiding in that hand of Runefolk.
Oh, there's always another Isatok. As
There's
often
always
as you
room
can
for
have.
one more Istok.
So that
It's like
could be
dessert.
very. There you go. Yep. Yes, I was allowed back in the US. And I have been cleared of all speculation or what's the word? All suspicion of being
Mhm.
involved in said events that happened while I was there. Um, it was not me as I remain innocent.
Yeah, yeah. The only heist he assisted with was getting the hunger onto the top of the deck of Rinku, right?
I cannot confirm nor deny that either for
Ooh.
competitive integrity.
Oh, now this is getting a little tricky because I feel like you have to really assume that Runefolk has that second Isatok on hand, and passing with so much mana up might be, yeah. See, there you have it.
There it is.
And now they'll be down so many cards. I mean, the lucky part on this side is that the monolith legate is not gonna do anything, right? Because the reserve is empty. But man, you are staring down the barrel of a very, very threatening Waru right now. And I mean, this is the new season tech that I'm in for. And I don't think, would you say this qualifies as a hostage deck yet? Or is this just exactly how Waru wants to play it out?
No, this is this is definitely a hostage deck. I don't know why. I don't know what happened to Runefolk and Keelan Guy to where this has become their new obsession. I don't know
I mean,
if
it's
there was
glorious.
a lack of love growing up or something, but they have become mad scientist obsessed with we are not the ones holding each person hostage in the game. Actually the person that is on the other side because they don't just quit the game. That's what they say. That's not anything from me, but yeah, they're sick and they should probably seek therapy.
Oh my. When my expedition fails, move forward. After rest, draw 3 cards. Now, remind me, 3 cards. That's a lot of cards.
It is quite a few. There's been a couple different things tossed around on, what the value of a boost versus a card draw versus this and that is. I'll just say 3 cards is a whole lot of value no matter how you work it out.
And I am loving this. I am absolutely that they are witch doctoring Waru back into existence, and I like it. I am a fan. This is, I mean, we can't be asking for people to brew up new things, and then when they come up with these abominations, we can't go, "No, not like that."
Uh, but yeah, I guess
I They're making a
it's
whole new archetype of cards work, quite reliably so, 'cause this is round 4, I believe, right?
yes, yes.
Yeah, and they're both 3 on 0, so they're getting pretty consistent results with it.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what the win condition is like from here. Um, it's very unfortunately one of the win conditions of this deck is to make your opponent run out of time before you do. But I assume Rinfolk has something else built into it, and it'll be very interesting to see how they make up this expedition disadvantage or how they try to start making progress here. Or they just keep throwing out double Isatok and see what happens.
Yeah, let me get a little refresh in as, yeah, the game has, continued in our absence. But yeah, as you can see, that's a whole lot of cards, and we are close to rotating through our, deck for the first time. As we're getting some extra attorneys out, these will not be put to sleep as of yet. Of course, you never know when you're playing against a hypothermia. But man, it is within reach for Sigmar. They can smell their hero and companion, but it is just not picking up right now. Now, a unique coming into place will be
Yeah.
doing some sabotaging at dusk, which to some is the worst time to be sabotaging. To others, they'll be bounced. Yeah, this will not be allowed to exist. Can be played again, of course, but no, they'll be passing immediately. Now they will be making up for a single expedition right now, so they are slowly clawing their way back into the game. Yeah, sure, just draw 3 cards, man. That's totally fine.
Yep.
And here we have at dusk, draw 3 cards. And when an opponent draws 1 or more cards or resupplies, create 2 soldiers in my expedition. Let me stop making
Yep.
tokens. Stop making tokens
Here's one of
in
those
my
win
expedition. Yes.
conditions I was talking about, which um is very good against some of these setups that Sigismar might have, especially
Oh
with
my, that's a lot of cards.
yeah, yep, oh,
Oh.
okay, so see, this is where the Sigismar player has seen the writing on the wall. And okay, here's another win con for the Waru is this grand endeavor. So hypothetically, you could keep playing out the double Isatok, not care, and just have Grand Endeavor continue to move you forward, depending on how you line up the Isatoks and move around that specifically.
Oh man. Oh lord. It is honestly, this is a thing of beauty. This is this is what Alder is all about. It is shaping these cards that you previously thought unplayable, and whipping them into a shape that we haven't seen before. I haven't seen before, and piling it into success. And it feels like I'm seeing Frankenstein's monster arise as it was stitched together from parts that should not work together, but are actually working really well in ensemble. And now with extra mana, even looking down all of that power being fielded by the Sigmar and all those cards in hand, how powerless they feel in the current situation. They're not even gonna attempt it. That is
Yep.
all she wrote, and Runefolk will be heading off into a 4-on-0 scoreline. And in what fashion?
Fun and interactive. At least their opponent is being a good sport for the most part, from what we can tell. Maybe we don't know the tone of how it was said, but I'll take it as being a little humorous in that response. And congrats to Runefolk. That didn't bring us all the way to the end of round 4, but it got us
Make me
close.
believe your congrats, Cole. Okay, yeah.
I own Runefolk nothing. So that is all I'll say. I have given him enough.
All right, let me take a look here. Table 4, as our spaghetti aficionado is facing off against one of Alter's aces in an Akesha versus Kaori matchup. Now, that is
Ooh.
something we have to watch.
Oh man, I am disappointed we spent so much time in a previously unnamed game when we could have been watching Akesha versus Kaori and some interesting choices as well. I am not too sure about the rare cuckoo myself, especially in decks like Kaori and Tasia. But we'll see what can happen here. Counting sheep though, that card is dope.
Yeah, counting sheep, quite a menace of a card, especially when you can chain it into I'm at a loss of its name, but the gigantic one that gets a counter for each.
Zaratan,
That's the one.
yeah,
There's some real shenanigans available, especially with the landmark that Kairi can field. It really is a whole new archetype of playing Muna that I think really is freshening up the playstyles available to a previously somewhat linear faction.
yeah. We also do see a anchor unique here in the Muna caregiver, so that definitely helps a little bit. The spaghetti player, as you mentioned, Leary. I don't believe I had the chance of meeting them at Worlds,
I
but
believe
the
that is
spaghetti
one of the head honchos.
they were both of these teams were at Worlds though. I don't think I had a chance to talk with either of these players. A rare Pomola, another very interesting card. 2 mana versus 3 mana. Can Akesha have any way out of this right now?
With only 2 mana left, the options are starting to dwindle, especially when you look at the sheer amount of power on the board currently for Kaori here. The sheep definitely seem to have it in this one, as the birds are a tweeting and Akesha is a sweating, sweating, holding on for dear life.
Yeah, that's not really gonna do it. What do you have for 1 mana that can turn the tide here?
Yeah, not even
There that
a beauty sleep. Beauty sleep could do it. That's all I'm saying. A single beauty
yeah.
sleep could put them into arena. I mean, from there on out, you're still not in a great position, but at least you're still in there. And from there on out, you can plink a hunger or something else.
Ooh, okay. Sap Duende. What are you gonna target here? If they're okay, they call GG. Oh yeah, because they took all the boosts. Well, shoot. Oh yeah, yeah. No character for Akesha. So either way, very smart play to counter a possible beauty sleep on Kaori's side, but
Will they show it? That's what I'm curious about. They
and it
will
was
show it.
it was there.
Oh, oh man, I love that is good sportsmanship. Showing that they did have it. It's they're not required to do it. And there is a point to make, to keep him guessing, but I think it's quite sportsmanlike to make him show, just like in poker. In certain situations, it is the sportsmanlike thing to do. Show people they made the correct laydown, or they made the right judgment call, and those moments are one of the most satisfying you can have in Altered. Leary will be moving on 4-0 into the next round.
Congrats on that. I would assume we're getting really close to that next round here, round 5. Thank
Seven.
you.
Let's do table 17.
Ooh, do we have life in table 17? Let's see.
Yeah. Ooh, I think it just ended. It just ended.
Unfortunate. Thanks everyone for watching. This I'll do it one more time, and I actually think I can post the link here in the chat.
Ooh.
But
Are
we
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 are we Buddhaing?
wanna yeah, we want that Buddha. Oh, we're actually getting really close. If you have not already followed the Game Found campaign, we have basically 20 hours left to get 254 followers or something like that. If I did that math perfectly that
Yep, you
quickly,
did it.
then I'm a genius. But yeah, go follow the Game Found campaign, and we'll get a alt art Buddha unlocked. So, but now we're back to the matters at hand.
Yeah, I believe
But
I'm at table 41.
all
I
right,
think.
let's see.
Yes, table 41. Where we have Nadir facing off against Nevenka, and this looks like it will be going into arena.
Ooh, very interesting here. Let's take stock. When you roll a dice, I gain one boost for each card in your reserve. Very nice, Mage Dancer.
Lovely
Uh,
card, but that reserve is looking. It has seen better days. Let's put it like that. Meanwhile, the reserves of Aloe Vera entering the day anchored 4-4-6, and they are both scrapping by for cards, trying to pull everything they can into the field, and they are just getting hit after hit. Now, rules question, Cole. Lyra Mapmaker, when you're in arena, are there single terrain regions still visible? Yes or no?
oh, I quit judging a long time ago for good reason. I
Well,
believe
you seemed quite
it's
keen to judge our good friend Rune not a few minutes ago. So you can
different
go
kind of judging,
judge
yeah.
all you want now, Cole.
Yeah, so I know that it's technically still like two sides, but all combined into one side. What's interesting is at a high level, if you look at it, there's technically on both sides one, you know, region, sort of say, on each side, single, one forest, one mountain, one water, but it's also all combined.
Yeah, it's a
So
single region, and I think we can cut the tension as it is being confirmed in chat that there will be no boosts coming on this Lyra map maker. Now we shall see
yeah.
if Board Game Arena agrees. You know, sometimes Board Game Arena has its own opinion on things. But I think it's quite original to see these origamiums being played in these numbers as well in the deer with some success as well. I think we have to refresh again because surely it can't be. Nope, they're just thinking. They're just thinking. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Solark, for not thinking my browser. Oh, they're having some technical difficulties. They are sharing with us in chat
Oh no.
as the
Yeah,
time
well,
is slowly ticking down. So it's going to be a close one.
yep. It is Arena is super interesting. There are so many interesting interactions in Arena and so many different little minutias. I think technically it's zero single terrain expedite because it removes all of the regions when you go to tiebreak, blah blah blah. That is all being said to where I can refresh and see if we're playing again to stall some time. I saw a
Yeah,
Daedalus come out.
there is movement currently, and I believe we're gonna have to do some die rolling as we're slowly going through the options. Let me refresh just to make sure that we are fully up to date. Yeah, we're just waiting on Solark to go through the hoops and the motions. Now, can Nadir use his token in the arena?
So what's funny is at a certain period you could try and you would break BGA. Uh
Lovely.
and I have a tendency to over explain things because I like to see how all the pieces fit together and the reason why.
Mhm. We have
The
time.
easy
Go for it.
answer yeah, the easy answer would be no, but I believe hypothetically you can, but I believe does it do something or does it not do anything? This is a very good moment to where if you can't remember specifically, the best friend you can have is go to the card on Altered's website and look at the clarifications. And it says, what happens if a train marker is placed in the arena during a tiebreaker? And it says, the arena is now a single train, so statistics in other trains won't help. So the answer
Yeah.
is yes, and it
Yeah,
does
and
convert it.
it is absolutely diabolical. Now, the one thing you have to keep in mind is I do believe you cannot transfer any tokens from other regions into the arena, as the nymphs like to do. Right? They you can
Mhm.
move some of the counters already placed to their expedition, so that is impossible. But if you held on to that last little terrain marker, you can absolutely shape the terrain to your need.
Yep.
It seems like a very evil thing to do coming from such an innocent little kiddo.
Yep. It operates the same as a Kraken or a rare Persephone would, um, maybe rare magic beans, because I think rare magic beans also removes the other types.
It does, yeah.
Um, so there's a couple really cool interactions like that. And maybe just for fun, you should hang on to one of those little markers and go to arena.
Yeah, just see what's what you can make happen for yourself. Now, another hero we haven't seen get a lot of play is currently represented at table 34, a Mojo. Moyo Moyo. So cool, you have to say a double, guys. Facing off against Subhash, who seems to be in a spot of bother, as they're still facing off against a activation of Karagir Izmir Bastion.
Why? This is another uh hostage staple here. The Hadagir Ysmir Bastion. I do really like Moyo. Very cool hero, a lot of fun.
And we do see two celebration days in the bin, so I think it's safe to assume what has been going on here. And also, they are the last table playing, so I think from that we can deduce what
Yep.
shenanigans are afoot here.
Let's see. What are they gonna play for free? They're gonna go with the Sokka's Fury. Yeah, I don't know if there's too much that the Subash can do from here. They do have a lot of really useful landmarks. They do have the stat advantage currently, but it's only on one side. And we've kind of seen it two or three times already today where just throw something on the other side, take that one progression and win.
Yeah, now they will have the little bug out bag to make it a little harder. But man, it is a tough spot to be in. However, currently, Moyo is slowly running out of cards, ever so little. Just the two they're hanging on to now. Um, but yeah, it can be a bit deceptive with the amount of draw that sometimes can be introduced in sudden bursts.
Yeah, I think the part of the reason why decks like this tend to annoy me is maybe there was absolutely no character in Moyo's hand to seal the deal there, but sometimes people will hold back to win how they want to win instead of just ending the game. And that is not as much fun, but we'll see what happens here.
Honestly, I'll be honest, I think they could have played any deck and still found a way to be like that.
It's just fair, true,
Let's
yeah.
let's not punish the hero for the player's sins. But I do feel you there. It's you can ask yourself what is still in this spirit of the game. Now, this could be the funniest brainwash in existence. No, instead it's an easy talk, making life very difficult. And as the tournament timer reaches its end, it actually was quite close here, with
Yeah.
only just 9 seconds, 8 seconds being the difference maker in this whole ordeal. Now, that will be the end of round four, with two more rounds to go. Is there a hero that we haven't seen yet and you would love to highlight? Maybe we can find a soul or something. Cole, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see a Soul in Hilua if there's one out there. Uh I think that's about all we really need to see that we haven't at least gotten a glimpse of. I mean, I guess Zen could be interesting as they do switch up the play style a little bit.
They do a
But
little bit, but I feel like with the amount of Sigismar that is being played and the matchup being such an absolute nightmare for Zen to play into Sigismar, it feels really bad. Like I've tried to make Zen work in this like divide and conquer style, right? Or either are you going to let me draw the cards, or are you going to spread out yourself quite thinly and leaving yourself vulnerable to hooked effects? In my head, it was a wonderful plan that could work really, really well. In practice, I got matched up against Sigismar 4 times, and I realized that I would never ever get to draw a card from my hero. Sad.
yeah, very, very unfortunate. Um, I'm trying to jump around here, see if I can find anything.
Oh my
Uh,
lord, would you believe it? Table 1 has a soul sitting at it right now, and it is beautiful. They we just had day 1 where Basira had played the Suha Korgan operative, the rare one that sabotages when it goes to reserve. So Soul just immediately passes without playing a single thing, getting the counter, only losing a single expedition, and dodging the sabotage like that. I actually don't hate that play. I actually don't hate it.
yeah, I am now in the game. I can't believe it. It was right there in front of us the whole time. Table
It's always the
1.
last place you'll look, right?
Yep. And now I'm in that weird moment of do I need to refresh? Maybe not. No, someone just needs to needs to mana.
Yeah, they're just mana currently. They might have a proper tough decision with so many cards in their hand, huh? Damn, must be nice. So we have another Bravas against Bravas face off, and I think with Soul, well, first of all, dominating the demo deck tournament quite efficiently. So, but even finding its spot in the meta a little bit, I think there's still a spot for Soul to take, and I do feel like its identity is significantly different from what is already out there, and that means that every single hero in Bravos is very playable at even a more competitive level.
Yep. Some are saying that this is the Bravos Renaissance, and it was actually very interesting. Someone was like, I took a break from the game for a couple months, and I really like Bravos. Are they good now?" And I was just like, "Oh, buddy." Are you in for a treat?
Also,
Arguably the best faction right now.
Renaissance, that kind of means that they were ever out or that they were ever on top before. I feel like Brothers has always, like, maybe for excluding like the first few months. Even then, Kojo was putting up results. I feel like we're doing early Bravos dirty here. There is no renaissance if you were never gone, right?
Yeah, I think from a standpoint, Kojo has always been competitive and always been good, but it's been Basira and Outsadi that were struggling up until
Definitely.
Whispers from the Maze. So now the faction as a whole, I think, is just very solid. Every hero is or can be competitive. And maybe the only faction that can say that right now or ever. I'm not sure if there's been a point where other factions have had every single hero be good all at once.
Um, I think the closest might be Izmir. There was that
Yeah,
point where
yeah.
Akesha could cheese a little bit, but it was consistently putting up results. And the sacrifice team was already quite tricky to pilot. But yeah, no, I think Bravos is an absolute wonderful spot. And what I like about Soul, for those who have stuck around in Magic for a longer time, is it really encapsulates that red deck wins vibe more than any other deck in Bravos has done so before. Kojo sometimes going more of a utility route and being a little tricksy now and then, where Soul is just as straight as an arrow. I'm gonna puke out all my cards, and if you can beat it, you can beat it. That's all I'll be doing today.
Yeah, I think Soul is also a lot of fun to play against because you can kind of see where you can deny them a counter here and there
It's a wonderful
and
puzzle.
play around their scheme. And yeah, it's definitely fun on both sides, in my opinion. Will be very interesting to see here if this Basira keeps running away with it. Um, because I feel like the Soul's gonna yeah, not get another
That
counter
is
here.
that is a nice answer though.
Yeah. They do get a move on one side, but it's a one for one with Basira in the lead.
Yeah,
So
but they're only behind one expedition, and look at the cards available to Basira currently. Those features are drying up rather quickly. Meanwhile, as the Soul player, and you are going first, and you do have a 4 mana play, the one thing I'm curious about, are you going to give this breathing room to Basira where you're kind of offering up this one for one day where they get to stick around with the colorful cuckoo? We're gonna have to see if it pays off. However, the day will go, it's most likely that Soul will get her third counter today.
that is what you hope for. We wanna see the Halua. We wanna see that you beautiful big beast coming out. And what's funny about new heroes and new strategies is when you forget how they work and you think you have an expedition on lock and then they pass and a giant manta ray comes out and then you're in trouble.
Yeah, especially when those Arcolano milks are hitting the field, right? It's a little more cheesy, mind the pun, but definitely still playable. Now let's see what they'll have in store for us right now. I think just boosting up your anchored characters will serve you really well. Yeah, another 2 boosts on it, and that means you'll be entering the next day with a 4/4/4. I think you're feeling pretty good about that as far as it goes.
Yeah, still two more counters away from the Halua being gigantic and that cuckoo being 3/3/3 is pretty nice for the companion side here for whenever that Halua comes out. Interesting to stack the Chiron here.
Yeah, it means
Okay, I
they'll
see.
be
Helping
advancing
hand.
on the water at the very least, and now they will be putting even more boosts on their cuckoo. So they're looking pretty stacked for their next day, and the price that Seoul is getting is another landmark, which they're gonna have to pay for to get even value out of to begin with.
Two aeroliths, yeah. Maybe they're just going to continue to load in more and more until they can get rid of it for free. They have enough cards in hand to where it might
Exactly,
not
right?
be, yeah, something they have to worry about unless all the cards in their hand are not working for their plan here. But that big old boosted cuckoo is definitely menacing.
Yeah, and tricky to take care of because Soul is not, usually not that adept at dealing with these bigger threats. Sometimes they'll play a duel of grit on a good day, right? But that is really the duality of these more expensive cards. They can be quite powerful. Also because they will net gain you cards, right? Because you're playing less cards for the same amount of mana later in the day. Um, but is the payoff and the price that you're paying for it might be quite disastrous. Now let's see what this Garrick can put to work.
What you got? What you got? Uh,
Oh,
in
we're gonna be
boost.
exhausting when he has an empty reserve. Frightening,
Yeah.
absolutely frightening. But I think Soul will just kind of clear a reserve by playing in Russian.
Yeah, pretty. You gotta play out that Ultron teammate. The setup for the Garrick tier is perfect for Basira because they can use the helping hand to not only clear their own, or you just play a gigantic Kahlua and not care what comes next.
Yeah, but hmm,
Is it enough?
hmm. Yeah, all right. So they'll be giving up another 2-0 day. That is what it's looking like to me. Because I mean, just right. Well, they can. They're gonna have to invest another card, another character to get that final push. But even then, that is quite a gambit being put out here by Soul. And I'm wondering, will it pay off? Because the resources are dwindling quite significantly for Basira. And getting fleeting on both of those cards, it might just be worth it if that means Soul can push it over the edge. Because I'm quite convinced she'll pass first, getting the fourth counter. And then the next turn, she's first player, already giving that extra leg up with the rush card in her reserve as well. So next turn, we will be getting a gigantic Halua. It's a gambit, but it might just pay off.
What's really funny about this large Halua coming out and giving everything fleeting is this Garrick doesn't get fleeting. It just gets another boost instead. So maybe not the best thing to play.
Yeah, and for 4 mana from reserve, it's a little, it's quite efficient as well because it will be coming out as a 4/3/3 that will be exhausting and then get another boost from Basira. So expensive, yes, but capable of getting the job done. Now, interesting here, they did not get the 2-0 day because of the gigantic of our good friend Soul over here, Halua, and that, and I'd like to see that again in the instant replay. Maybe
Well,
some more.
I don't know what Soul is going to have here to close things out, especially with that Garrick and the Helping Hand and Basira ability. I mean, at this point, if Basira wanted to just play it, very slowly, they just play the Garrick out on one side, and if Soul has no removal, they just, you know, go one for one or whatever until they win.
They have bought themselves a lot of wiggle room. However, you have to be a little worried, right? Because we haven't seen a single sabotage yet on the side of. Ooh, all right. Leaving the door open, but getting the Arcana milk out first, meaning that they will be getting a 3/3/3 gigantic for absolutely free. But it might cost them because it does mean that their lovely little alt run teammate. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I say it at least.
Yeah, I just I'll be very honest. I have been calling him Sprint Twink for the most of time.
There you go. That's what's up.
But he will be biting the dust right now and taking a little break, as you should after some rigorous exercise. You should give those muscles a little break.
Yep. Always remember to stretch as well, prepare, and Clarion Skater. Interesting. What are you saving the rush for here? You're getting dangerously close to letting the Sierra pass before you. And then yeah, now the teammate is exhausted because of that Garrick. So what do you got? What are you cooking? Okay.
Oh, that'll do it. Immediately passing, getting them the fifth counter, getting them a 2/2/2 gigantic that will be getting a boost from the Arcolana milk. I mean, that is a nice little interaction, but with 2 mana to go still, and only needing 4 power, that might be a tall ask, even for Basira, especially when she has already used her ability.
Yep. Yep. That is a very nice fog unique from anywhere immediately pass. And then if you have six or more mana orbs, characters you control gain one boost. So that is
Yeah,
a
and
very nice play.
pay attention to the layering. Passing first, meaning that Soul gets her fifth counter, spawning Halua, meaning Halua
Yep.
will get that extra boost. Excellently layered by our Soul player, showing us why they have come so far in the tournament thus far.
Yep. And
Look at that.
now
Fully
evened up.
equalized.
Yep. Very, very cool. Let me just go over here to my side monitor and start creating a Sola and Halua deck real quick.
Now it is
uh,
going to be very, very tricky because Basira will be first player and they have a Garrick that can exhaust 2 cards in reserve. So they might be struggling to find similar results on this day as they did in the previous one. Nevertheless, I'm still very curious to see what they have in mind because these soul decks really have some cards that you kind of forgot about that they existed, or cards that you didn't think were very viable until they were showing up in soul decks. So let's see what they have in store after their entire reserve is getting exhausted.
it's gonna be a second fog unique. See what you got.
I'm here for it. Show me what you got.
No,
All right,
they,
all
yeah,
right.
they do have the. Mm,
Might as well.
I guess that's an okay card to
Yeah,
get,
not
maybe.
great. Like you're not contesting in water, right? On the other side.
Yeah.
Um, but hey, it could be worse. But let's be real, it could be a lot better as well.
Yeah, and if you don't play it out, you have that Garrick sitting there that just needs another boost to exhaust it as well.
Yeah, so kind of stuck in a hard place. I guess the players should kind of match the Garrick, right? Because otherwise you're just leaving the door open um, for having to invest later on into your expedition that's already winning, which is such an awkward position to be in. But let's see how they'll maneuver their way out of it. They will be sacrificing their second aerolith. Now, that is quite of a little gamble, but they have shown before that they are quite willing to to gamble on what cards have in stock here, because you do leave your Jin susceptible to getting dealt with this Garrick, or by a Klutz
Another
itself.
yeah. Yeah. Very, very unfortunate here. That is not only another card that will exhaust more of the cards in reserve, but it has very good stats here. And Soul and Halua are not yet winning on either
Yeah,
side.
but they will get a 2/2/2 gigantic, of course, and there's only one man left on the side of Basira, so there might just be something viable about passing right now.
Yeah, we'll see if they have something to play here that'll make it a little less risky to do so.
Yeah, because imagine the next turn, right? If you have something you can rush with to rush, like first play, rush into fog, that might seem overzealous. However, it means you are dodging that devastating double exhaust that an occlude can put out in the Basira deck. So Soul might actually be quite well equipped with dealing with these cards, but that is not what they're going for. Instead, oh man, I feel like they could have just passed, right? And saved themselves the card.
Yeah, that is interesting. Maybe they
Maybe scared of the
were
fire rabbit.
yep, the fire rabbit, but the card that they played out specifically even feels like it hurts more because
Yeah, only rushing from hand.
yeah, that harpooner would have been amazing. Like you said, with that combo with the fog, getting rid of I mean, probably the Garrick just because of how often it can gain boosts
Yeah,
compared
but
to
you're
the
near the
Eclipse.
end of the day. You might just want to get rid of the card with more stats.
Yeah, it's a hard choice, hard choice.
Yeah, yeah, it's a little tricky as well because the Garrick needs an empty reserve, right? Yeah, but it doesn't matter at all because it's not happening. Meanwhile, Soul is hanging on for dear life, and they're not even winning out in the research department anymore. Now, just the two cards in hand, waiting for Basir to make a call on what is disappearing into this mana pool. You're just quite comfortable right now as Basira because all of the options are yours, and it's all up to Soul to play the odd game. But they need too many pieces in play as you really want to pass first. So they're very dependent on getting some proper rush cards right now.
Yeah, we're about to see what kind of play can be made here. Okay, milk. That'll start it a little bit, but now that fog is basically down for the count.
Yeah, it is pretty much toast. I think it's fair to say. And then it's just the two cards remaining in hand. Now, Bravos has some absolutely terrifying cards at those higher mana costs. So it's definitely not done and dusted just yet. But and they're trying to hang on. Do not underestimate the absolute power that is held within a 3/3 gigantic, though, or possibly even a hunger right now, right? Clearing that reserve whilst getting fleeting itself. So there's definitely some tricks up in the sleeve still, but they're gonna have to come out rather quick as the day is slowly setting.
Yeah, this how this board reads right now and how each person is playing is that they both have the hunger. But we'll see if that is the case. Okay, rush. Rush into hunger or rush into what you got?
That would be a little bit tricky here. Now, I actually wouldn't mind just hanging on to this bad boy and playing the hunger first, and then when they play
Yeah.
their hunger, you just answer it, right?
Yeah.
And you'll deal with the gigantic later, or even when they do play their hunger, you
Oh,
will
they
still
didn't.
get the 3-3-3 gigantic. Now, I'm gonna
Yeah.
refresh because it's taken a little bit, and I really don't want to miss the conclusion of this game.
Yeah.
So
Moved
pardon me.
on so quickly from the alt run teammate. I
Yeah,
didn't
they
notice.
they chose not to rush actually,
Yeah.
so
No
they
rush.
might be threatening that hunger from themselves still, and then they'd have to show it right now.
Yep. Now we know that there is no hunger from the Basira, but if the well, no, yeah,
There
I
it
don't know.
is! There it
Yeah,
is, Cole!
yeah.
Man, oh, I just want this soul to do well. And there's the GG call. Oh man, Altered Aces pulling through once again, piloting this soul deck to a stunning 5-0 and qualifying themselves for the AWOL Invitational. Deservedly so. What a run.
Yep. That was a very nice play, and I mean, like I said, you can almost see the writing that it's about to happen. But if you don't have an answer for it, then there's nothing you can do to stop it. I was half wondering if the Sierra also had a hunger, and maybe they did, but they
I-
knew based on the turn sequence it wouldn't have
right?
mattered. But yeah, very, very intriguing and interesting set of plays there.
And it's not very often that the soul player can wait so long, right? That they can um, hold out throughout the day so effectively, where they can wait out the Basira. Man, that is, oy, oy, oy. I love to see it. Now, as I am scouring the earth, or well, just the tournament lobby, really, um, for some more games, I'm gonna see if we can see if the top is still playing. A lot of it has already finished. Let's see. I believe it's only a single table still left. 39 all the way at the bottom. Let's see what we are duking it out for as we have a little mojo on Asia action.
Yeah, this is seeming to be the type of Moyo that I would prefer, and maybe that's also why
I haven't seen a
it's
single celebration day, so
yeah. Yeah. The Tasia here has an Aron unique, which I haven't seen too many. You put a card from your hand in reserve. Each character you control other than me gains a boost, so that's nice. Joins if you control. So it's just given a bunch of boosts. Pretty nice. Kind of expensive there. This double well of tears for Moyo going into this final day where they only need one more advance. Gonna be a
and
lot
look at those
for
cards. Look at just the sheer amount of cards they have on hand right now. Eight
yep.
cards at their disposal to the three. And I want to say the measly three of Deja, who is well, they're trying, and they're trying real hard, but it is not coming to fruition just yet.
Yep. Not looking great. I think someone is home in my house, so I have to let my dog out, but I will be right back.
As Cole addresses that for the very moment, we are seeing the last little death knells of the fifth round. One more after this, and sometimes it's good to check in on those lower tables, see what's going on there, right? Because honestly, sometimes the most entertaining matches are these unorthodox amalgamations that can pile up on the bottom. Now, I think this would be a good moment to highlight once again that we're still in the running for a very lovely little Buddha alt art. Um, if we get to, I believe we're looking for the last little 236, 230 followers for. There we go. Let me dump that into the chat. Ooh. So, go bother your friends a little bit. How about that? Make yourself useful, guys. As this round is coming to an end. GG is called. Moyo will run away with it, secure himself his very first win as we are moving on to the next round. Oh, yeah, then we get to move back. And, out of respect for Cole, I'm gonna see if I can cover up his camera. Uh, Give me like 2 or 3 business days for this one. Oh no, he's
Yep,
back.
yep,
I can't
right
silence
as
him.
you, try, yep. Alright.
Well, I might just do it anyway. Uh,
That's fine as well.
there,
Oh, I'm guessing Moyo won.
there. Yeah, Moyo took it. There you go. We're in the final round. Oh, well, it has to be when you're so enthused by. And you know what? I have a suggestion. I have a suggestion. So while we're working on this, let me see. Pa, 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 pa. We're gonna show matches. Um, we're going to keep. We're gonna check in on table one because I mean, hey, it's a tournament. It's the finals. I feel a little obliged to check that out. However, we'll just occasionally check in. We'll just occasionally pass by and see what's what. Because all right, this might be interesting because he is facing off against Soul. So I think that is that might be worth covering. However, if we get a little sleepy, then we're just gonna throw it over to a different one. A Cowrie into Fen, I think will be equally important. And look, we'll just do a little switch. So if it suddenly switches on your screen, it's because we're sharing the love between Rune and our spaghetti representatives. And no, that's not me being fluent in stereotypes. That's their organization. That is.
Yep, yep. I gave Quetz a ton of crap about that in person over the weekend. In that match as well, I do not believe I recognize the team ALR. If I have forgotten at this moment what it stands for, my apologies, but I think they're a newer team on the scene. So, if anyone knows what it stands for or what they're about, feel free to
Well,
let us
we're in
know.
a very special spot now because now we get to make up what it stands for
Oh,
until we get
yeah.
corrected.
Uh,
So, altered losers reunited. That is very rude for someone who is 5-0.
hey, but maybe they had, a bad season or two and they have since come out stronger than ever and are
Altered lore
competing.
remastered.
There you go. There you go. That's a
Altered
good one.
legends. There's some ways to do it. Now, this is the landmark that we didn't see in our previous outing of Kauri, but I think is an absolute nightmare to play against. Because look at the cuckoo. It will be ramping them right now. And the deck is just chock full of these cards that are turning these sheep into more fuel for the Cowrie engine, not by devouring them, but by the power of friendship? Question mark.
Yeah. I
Really embodying the more the merrier spirit.
Yeah, it is not only scary because of that, but also if you hover over the image and just see all these weird quirky sheep creatures flying around. I have no idea what they're doing, where they're going. But
Chilling,
it could
vibing.
be Yeah, it could be menacing though. You never know.
Yeah, it is. It really feels like one of those dreams that feels very cozy, and then like it doesn't stop, and you're slowly descending into a nightmarish state. Now, quick little check in into what Room Focus doing. There it is. More drawing. It's not looking good for Soul. Currently, one up ahead. We'll check in later. Now, back to sweetness and love and peace and little woolly backs. We can frighten later in the other game.
Yeah. Isn't it the littlest vampire or something like that where there are sheep that become vampires?
Pardon? One more time?
I we were talking about the possibility of woolly-backs being scary, and I think in the movie from 2000, The Little Vampire, starring, uh, Jonathan Lipnicki and other
Stop.
people.
That sounds that I am not comfortable repeating that. I'll be very honest. That sounds
Uh,
like
I
it shouldn't
think
be repeated.
I think there's a flying, vampire sheep at some moment, but maybe I'm forgetting.
Oh, yeah. No, thanks, Cole. I didn't need to sleep tonight. That is absolutely frightening. You know it's late here, right? You know it's almost 10. That is prime sleeping time.
Yeah, after you see very big stats and cards, coming out. I love the Pasiphae being in a Cowrie deck, with Woolly Woolly Field, but,
Yeah. It's a scary setup, but I feel like Fen is managing the situation quite well without even costing a lot of cards. I mean, look with the Heather in reserve. I'm I realize now that I'm just cutting all the grass right in front of your feet. So please continue, Cole. I'm sorry.
no, the Anansi is just, bigger than those 2 put together, though. This Fen is already, getting access to a lot in reserve. And now my throat is saying it needs water, and at least Blue has my back against the other uncultured people in the chat not ever seeing the little vampire. So you should go correct yourself, Gus, and watch it this weekend.
How about you educate yourself, huh, Gus? You judgmental little. We love Gus on this stream. Now, absolutely extraordinary performance by the Fen, who was seemingly overflowing in cards in reserve, and just one sleight of hand later, and they are cleaning up nicely after themselves. Shenlong entering through reserve, 7 mana 5/5/5, tough to draw a card, but with the support ability draw a card. So this Shenlong might not be long for this world.
Yeah, that is a very interesting Shenlong just in general to have 7 from reserve. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
don't think you really care about playing it from reserve. If you get in reserve, you'll just support ability it, and when
yep.
you get it in hand, a 5/5/5 for 5 with tough 2 that draws you a card is not a bad deal at all, especially when you take into account how long Lyra can stall these moments where you can force people to commit to one side, and then you can get away with these maybe not super costed creatures.
Now we see a unique Chiron coming out. Very, very good, seemingly in a Cowrie deck. If you control 3 or more characters, up to 2 characters each gain 1 boost when another character joins your expeditions. But there's another Anansi that is threatening to be bigger than all of that put out.
Yeah, and I think the key thing we have to keep in mind here is joining your expedition. So it will not be triggering of the woolly backs that are being handed out like hotcakes.
Yeah, unfortunately not, but we'll see one of those being handed over, and maybe we'll see another one or two before the Pasiphae is played. Oh, but we see another
right?
unique.
Oh, and it looks like we'll be anchoring some more.
Oh boy, here we go. We're off to the races. Anchor, anchor.
Now that is what we call in the business a nasty card.
2 mana as well. And the From Reserve ability is also nice. If you control 3 or more characters, the next card you play this afternoon costs 1 less. So not half bad there either. The Fen, though, having 2 expeditions in the lead. Wonder if they're able to keep the momentum.
Yeah, and they're eyeing a double advance for today as well. I mean, they have what it takes to. All right, so they'll be fighting on this side further. Now, of course, Curry does have um the 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 little 2 mana 3/3/3 that will be giving out 2 more boosts, so they can go 1 for 1 today, but it might be a big ask, honestly, with the amount of power that's coming out. However, they will be able to anchor it, and I think that might be the big difference maker in this match is the prolonged value um, of these Muna characters when they are allowed to stick around so much longer than you'd want them to.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of boosts coming out from the Chiron as well to continue to level those up. Um, I mean, in the past, traditionally, Fen has had a lot of removal. I'm not sure if this very specific type of Fen deck
It
has
has been dwindling.
fun.
It's
Yeah.
usually a cloth cocoon or two and a requiem, and that is usually kind of it. We're no, they're not really playing the off you goes anymore. Instead, favoring more card draw or more resupply. So you'd actually have to dig quite deep, and as you can see, they haven't gone that far just yet. As far as fan deck goes, right? Just about half the deck right now that we've plowed through.
Yep. Yep. And worry not about the other game we're keeping an eye on. Still has plenty of life in it as Runefolk
Yep.
slows it down.
Runefolk.
And we'll
No, please, Cole. Finish your
I
thoughts.
was gonna say we'll probably have to go over there after this one finishes.
Yeah, or we'll just keep an eye on it as we as we explore greener pastures.
Hey, there is one of the removals that we were mentioning, the Requiem being shown. It is what is it gonna be good for here though? I guess getting rid of the Pasiphae or the Cuckoo for the most part. And let's see here. Yeah, I mean, you don't really care to remove the landmark if you have very limited removal in your deck.
Yeah, I think discarding some of these pesky anchored characters might be the way you want to go here. The cuckoo, of course, being a prime target. Anything with fleeting, really, except for the Chiron right now, is um, is a prime target. But do you want to commit to that before you've played out your Anansi?
What else? What else could they play instead? First, they might have the mana to use a sleight of hand to pick up the Anansi, but you're playing against Muna, not a ton of sabotage. You probably don't even need to worry about that.
Honestly, they'll probably just go for something like more like another magical training or something.
Hmm.
Oh,
Or
double
another
requiem.
Requiem.
Yeah, that'll do it.
There you go.
What will they get rid of first? I have to imagine that this Isunboshi is biting the dust rather sooner than later.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I guess no. You have enough of a lead that there really isn't a better choice. other than getting rid of that.
Yeah,
Other
and
things
of
have
course
more stats, but
the Bushi is the one anchoring everything, right? So
yep,
if they play another character, which Kaori is quite known to do so, they would stick around that cuckoo a little longer. However, you can also just draw all your uniques in the first 17 cards. That is a strategy I always advise new players.
yep. Just go ahead and put out yet another anchoring unique here that's going to bounce off of that Chiron, and it'll do you some good there. And that amount of mana for what Fen has access to currently was a lot for not a huge reward. So, I mean, if
Yeah,
I'm Fen, I'm setting up for next turn and just trying next.
yeah. I'm first screaming into a pillow, and then and then I'll be seeing what I can get done in the other one. So yeah, slightly disgusted with what I'm seeing on my screen right now. Let's take a look on the other side. Yeah, no, that is really not helping, is it? That is not sparking joy at all. 7 counters on the soul right now, and a whole lot of boost with the fog coming through. But will it be enough? It will be enough for a single advance, as they are eking eking ever so slightly closer to the illusion of victory. But can they make dreams come true and crown themselves AWOL Week 3 champion? We'll give it 20 more minutes for our next check in.
All right. So we're
Oh, this Anansi is biting the dust. There
yeah,
it goes.
ouch.
Oh, this fan. All the benefits they had in tempo, they're missing out on right now. And with all these anchored characters staying around more and more and more, it's gonna be tricky. The only positive here is that they did manage to give fleeting to the Muna caretaker, meaning that the this anchoring will stop now, surely, but it might be too little, too late.
So many stats. So many. That's what, 2, yep, 2 Anansi's down. Ooh, this setup might be just perfect for the Cowrie here, to where this is gonna be a runaway train from here on out.
But
So
it will end, right? Because they have no more anchor uniques right now. The caretaker has fleeting. The
mhm.
bushy is already in the discard, so it will stop. But they're gonna have to get through another day where they're taking it up against this absolute army of a Chiron and all these boosted creatures that are swarming the field.
Yep. There's going to be the cuckoo going bye-bye. Interesting. Are they really 1 mana? What are you going for
Oh,
here?
yeah, they're gonna give it anchored. They're gonna give it
Yeah.
anchored with Luna Signet. Oh my! And they're gonna have to assume, yeah, that might be all she wrote because another day of surviving that much value. The I will say the well is drying up a little bit, and at the next day they will not be drawing an extra card since they're not first players. So it is gonna be it's gonna be tight. It's gonna be tight. But I doubt the resources that Fen can can use will make up for the amount of just raw power being laid down by Cowrie.
Yeah, that was a very interesting decision here to get rid of the cuckoo before the Muna caregiver. And now that's going to just return in your nightmares the next day. So,
Yeah,
uh,
it's really a kind of doomed scenario, right? Because if they have that option, um, you were kind of doomed anyway. And the only scenario that you were eking out a victory was if you could recover in the next day. So I find it hard to blame them for taking out the cuckoo. Um, but yeah, because Who plays Muna Signet, man?
Someone who has uniques like this, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, they are setting up their day. Let's have a little look what's going on here because this soul is, oh, I want to say it's threatening the win right now, but that is kind of tough to gauge at times. I think what will definitely help is the fact that Soul can always threaten the hunger, and with Arcolana Milk out there, I mean, it's a little tricky because there's so many hypothermias and other sleepy snoozy effects, but you have to respect it because it deals with a lot of the threats put down by our German representative, Runefolk.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best plan here for Soul. And if you can go even a little further and have something that's 2 mana you play out first, wait for Runefolk to play another card, and then Hunger, you probably are able to seal the
Yeah,
deal of
very
this
smart
game.
because then he'll only have 9 cards.
Yep. And
I
that's
That is
not
not good
gonna
news.
do it. Yeah.
That is not good news. Quick, let's get out of here and
Yep.
see how we're doing on this side. Also, not very great.
Uh, would you rather go up against uniques that draw 3 cards at dusk or anchor uniques? What is your poison?
That is tricky because I think with the anchor uniques, you really feel doomed, and like, oh man, if I just there's no way I can get myself out of this. When you're playing against the draw uniques, you can be convinced into this false sense of maybe still having a chance of still being like, oh, maybe if they whiff like 6 times in a row. So you have that illusion, you have that hope that gets snuffed out, and that might be worse. To be honest, I think that might just be worse.
Oh man, the Fen player states that their only hope just went into mana, and
Defend special.
uh, I gotta assume this is someone who's a fan of Spaghetti Altered, because they are not a person in the game, but they did comment cooked like pasta.
That is, yeah, they're a spectator.
uh,
uh, Man, what a way to go! I mean, you can't be ashamed about a performance like that.
Yeah, Fen was doing really well early on, getting the setup perfectly put together in the reserve, getting those Anansis out and trying to go fast. But the setup for Cowrie here and the anchoring uniques, unfortunately, won it out in the end.
Yeah, and this is the might that you're staring at right now. It is a quite a nightmarish scenario where the government has run away with it. They they are in full control and they are not letting anyone else even play or have a seat at the table. Sol is fighting it with all her might, and I think the colorful cuckoo might be a funny little card as it will neutralize this Quetzalcoatl a little bit.
Yeah, what may have happened here is a lot of Bravos decks only run one single hunger, and that might be the very unfortunate side of this deck from Soul. There's already one in discard, and while one a little bit earlier, uh, 1 or 2 turns ago would have probably sealed the deal, there might not be another one to play in the deck.
I mean, 9 more cards. Can they hold? That's a lot of. Oh, it's gonna be close. Only a single hunger. That is not enough hungers.
True.
Yeah, you might be
Never leave home with at least 2 hungers.
as as proper care guide to state, right?
Yep. Let's
They
see.
are being picked apart with victory within their grasp. It has never been this far away as there. That is, I believe, the second time that Runefolk is reshuffling his deck, as it might actually be empty now.
Yep, getting
Oh no,
getting
no,
very
they have to
close.
discard. Yeah, they currently have 6 cards in their discard, so they'll have a deck of 6 in a little bit, of which they'll draw.
Man, they and Runefolk got rid of that cuckoo, so it no longer helps to counter the quets. And do we see the soul continue to try to fight it out? Where now that Wario has all of these okay. I took too long to say the thing, and they did bow out.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you gotta respect it, right? I mean, they might be running the single hunger. They might be running multiple. It is kind of tricky to say, but you have to respect someone that will fight it out till the bitter, bitter end.
All right, now just a game of having to progress a couple more times and Grand Archive once, most likely, as these Isitoks go away, and the game will seemingly be Runefolk's unless it's a bait and switch from Soul to take the game away right here.
Yeah, but we might be at that point where even if they do hit that miracle out, that is 20 cards. That is so many cards. They have their entire deck either in mana, in hand, in reserve, in their landmark. Like they have all the firepower that that deck has to offer is available to them.
Yep.
What an absolutely frightening prospect that is.
Playing out the teammate without rushing is interesting. I mean, it does make you wonder doing something like that, continuing to play if there is
I think
some
they're just
kind of
stalling, right? Like they would
uh,
have passed by now. I feel like if they had nothing, so they
yeah.
might just be looking for that little miracle angle here. Oh, they have -1 cards now, guys. I don't think I've seen that before. They have -1 card. They are in debt. That's the most Waru thing ever, to be indebted a card.
I don't know how often I've seen it on the deck, but in the cards in hand display, it used to happen with Loki pretty often. It was always funny. Yeah.
There is the white flag coming out from Seoul, having to admit their superior this time around, and that might be one of the biggest silences you will ever see in Altered. Coming down with 16 boosts.
Oh,
My,
and
oh
there's
my.
another one.
And when it's trouble, you better make it double, as Team Rocket over here will be smashing the victory and an undefeated record for Runefolk, who I'm sure will be very humble about it.
Yep, it is very exciting that we have established a new rule in AWOL season here. If you go 6-0 on a deck, you have to retire it and can no longer play it in the following events. So good job, Runefolk, for getting your Waru there, and we'll see
Guys, the
you.
coast is clear. The coast is
uh,
clear. It's safe to play on Wednesday.
we'll see you on a different deck next time. What do you even draw online if your deck is empty? Nothing. It just does not happen. As of now, there is no penalty. In the
Yeah.
future, possible.
We'll see. Runefolk in chat, congratulations. 6-0 is no small feat by any means. And it is honestly, it was quite refreshing to see. And I can't wait for the reactions of the people in my play group when they see Waru go 6-0 on 39 cards. It's going to be an absolute delight. Thank you for that.
Well played, well played. I heard Runfolk intentionally lost in the LCQ so he could be on stream. Yeah, I think that's true. He saw the desk set up and heard that you could get free Coca-Colas, and that's all he needed to want to cast instead.
You had me at the word free. I think a worthy conclusion to this week's AWOL. Man, what an absolute drive. And I actually think we have seen a fair amount of fresh decks. We saw Kauri in the top. We've seen
Mhm.
Soul in the top. We've seen Waru in the top. I think we might actually be turning a new page as far as hero selection gets in. And I think part of that might be because of it's a lot to dedicate to just that one thing. But I think Conquest is really kind of pushing people to explore previously unexplored heroes to diversify their lineup. I mean, I'll be thinking twice when fielding in three different factions at the very least.
Yeah, there are a lot of different angles that could cause it, as we mentioned earlier throughout the stream. There are the meta is really reactionary to what happens at higher levels in Altered, where the just the inclusion of three different decks means that people saw more variety at a high level stage, so it could inspire them. And then, this is seemingly a format that's going to stick around for very high competitive events. So people are, maybe thinking they need to get more used to playing three different decks. And
Yeah,
then on the
and
other side, less worry, less to prepare for. We're all having fun now.
and also and I think for the largest events, like for a world championship, I think it is fitting to have a format that really rewards complete mastery of the game, right? And not being not saying that people who only play one or two decks are not as skillful, but I think it really rewards the spirit of what Altered is about, which I personally really enjoy.
Yep. Agreed. I love it. I was into it when I first heard it, and I hope more people are opening up further to the idea. So
Yeah, and I think the biggest surprise to me personally is we haven't seen a lot of traced today, which used to be quite a main staple. Now we don't have all the stats just yet, but that has struck me as interesting. Let's see if that trend will continue on Wednesday. I think for now, Cole, do you have anything that you want to end our stream on?
Um, I need a nap or a energy beverage of some sort because blue is making me do even more work. Really though, in serious fashion, thanks, Bandit, for hopping on, hosting the stream, and casting with me. Now you know why I had to cancel last week. It's all Blue's fault. So,
Yeah,
glad.
I he has already. I wanted to tear into him a little more, but I felt like he had been sufficient addressed by the universe already.
Yep. So.
And on that one, go follow the GameFound project. We want that alt art Buddha, and we want it now.
Yep. But,
So
yeah,
I
thanks.
think that we can end it on that. So go bother everyone that you know. Get that alt art in. For now, that's all she wrote. This has been Bandit. That was Cole. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back on Wednesday for the American Tour and next week for week 4 of the AWOL Weekly Tournament. See you then.